Is this thing working? Are we live? Yeah, we're live. All right. What's up, everybody?
Nice.
Yeah, wonderful. How's it going? It's Nance, Dave, and Ann. And I think we got like 7 people on the live side right now. Welcome, folks. So what we're about to do is watch something. Yeah, so Nance, have you seen any of this yet?
Yeah, but hold on. I might have either a window open or
What's wrong?
I hear you playing back. I hear the stream,
Oh, okay. And
but
you don't hear it back, right? Yeah. Nance has to kill the viewer inside his head, inside his headset. And then Anne, you've not seen this. You don't even know what we're watching here, yeah?
I don't know much about this except it's going to be interesting from a sociological perspective. Today, Dave just said, Anne, I want to watch a documentary. I want you to watch it. And I said, okay. And here I am. So
Perfect.
that's where I'm at. And
Cool.
I'm excited.
Well, I'll just say a couple things about it while Nance gets his situation here figured out. What we're going to be watching is called The Merchants of Cool. It's a frontline documentary. I saw it in a sociology course back when I was in my undergrad. And this today in class, I was thinking, I don't want to do this. I didn't want to do a lecture. And I kind of, part of the reason was I wanted them to do the reading that I was about to lecture on ahead of the lecture. So I was like, no, I'll just change the order because this is a documentary that I was at some point ultimately going to show them anyway. And so, yeah, I changed the order of things and played it this morning. And I was watching it and I was like, yeah, this is great. I want to watch this. I want to watch this with Anne. I want to watch this with Nance. Nance was already stoked to watch it, thinking about streaming it. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's 52 minutes long. It's not super long. We'll talk about it and that'll be the stream. But this is React content, folks. So it's not breaking copyright because we're here to react. So I think everything should be okay. I don't know what's up with my camera, but it's like a little laggy.
it was Discord, dude. It was open in Discord, and I didn't even realize I had Discord open. Now that's closed. Yeah, stupid Discord. No, I'm excited. I watched the first like 10 minutes of this just the other day. And I was like, this is really good. This would make fantastic React content, like where streamers watch like Master Chef and then they play it and then they pause it and they're like, whoa, look at that guy's face. Or whatever, like the sensational reaction content. I was like, this would actually be really good content. So I stopped watching it. Should we address the title of the stream?
Do you want to talk about people's faces? We could definitely talk about people's faces as we go. We go
when
pause
I see
and
people's
make fun of
faces,
people.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing to do.
Yeah,
it's my favorite thing to do, dude.
You're fucked up, man. So what were you saying?
No, I'm not. The title of the stream says what Malcolm Gladwell doesn't get about Edward Bernays from MTV to MySpace to TikTok.
Okay.
And I think that's a good title.
Yeah, 100%. So the first half of it's your idea. The second half of it's my idea. I can stand behind the part of it that is my idea. But the part that if Malcolm Gladwell were to click onto this, he's going to be like, all right, what are you getting at, Nance?
So, dear Malcolm and dear everyone else who might be wondering, I watched like 10 minutes of this, 15 minutes of it. I don't know if Malcolm Gladwell doesn't get something about Edward Bernays, but I was actually a little bit surprised to see him when it came on. I was like, okay, I like PBS. Frontline makes good stuff. And I was like, hey, there's Malcolm Gladwell. But the vibe I got from the first, quarter of this documentary that I watched was that they're doing a good kind of analysis. They're doing a good job talking about what it is they're talking about. But they seem to be under the impression that this is like a brand new thing. When in fact it's not brand new. We've kind of been doing it all along. But Edward Bernays was like the father of modern propaganda, of modern media, of modern marketing. And he was keyed into this stuff back in the 1940s.
Right.
He
keyed us all into it.
Yeah. And so it's not so much like, oh, this sucks. I actually think this is really good. I just wanted to push back on the idea that this is something brand new. It has been intensified. It has accelerated due to the media, but it's not a new thing that kind of emerged out of the media. It's a quantitative change, not a qualitative change. And I think it's important to keep that in mind when we talk about this stuff, like when we act like it's all brand new, I think we kind of miss something. So
now, to be fair to everyone, now that we understand Nance's reasoning going into the title, I have officially edited the title to make it slightly more accurate by adding at the end of it an exclamation point with 2 question marks. So now it's a question. Maybe Gladwell does understand it's been going on all along. Who knows? Yeah. All right. So with that,
we don't know.
We're going to get to it. We got some folks here. It's great to have you guys. How's it all going? How's it going, all of you? We got Mills, 8102. We got Ace Fail Winter. Assafail Winter. Now we got Call Me Cheesecake. I'll call you Cheesecake. Sure, why not? Welcome. Let's get to it. This is the documentary. Let's roll. By the way, it says that there might be inappropriate things if you're a kid. All right? So don't be a kid.
Okay, so I'm going to take attendance here.
Trigger warning.
Okay. The dog. Right there. Okay. Adam. Okay. You guys can all have a seat right over here. Has anybody ever done a focus group before? Wait, do you remember what you talked about?
Back to school supplies.
Sorry?
On a summer afternoon in a downtown New York loft, corporate America is on a very serious mission.
You know, it's all going to be sort of like what you guys think. You guys are sort of the experts today, and it's going to really be just you guys telling me your opinions.
These 5 boys are here to be questioned about what they wear, what they eat, what they listen to and watch. For $125 each, they're expected to answer.
Tell me some of the things that are really hot right now, some things that are really big right now. Popular trends, things that you sort of see everywhere. What's like going on? What's hot right now? Just shout them out.
Okay, so they're no more responsive than most teenagers. But that's not going to stop this market researcher, because the information he's looking for is worth an awful lot of money. At 32 million strong, this is the largest generation of teenagers ever, even larger than their baby boomer parents. Last year, teens spent more than $100 billion themselves and pushed their parents to spend another $50 billion on top of that. They have more money and more say over how they'll spend it than ever before.
Teens run today's economy. There's an innate feeling for moms and dads to please the teen, to keep the teen happy, to keep the teen home. I think you can pretty much take that to the bank.
They're given a lot of what we call guilt money. Here's the credit card. Why don't you go online and buy something because I can't spend time with you?
I'm Douglas Rushkoff, and tonight we'll tour through a landscape that has both attracted and repelled me during the decade I've been studying it. It's the world in which our teenagers are growing up, a world made of marketing. For today's teens, a walk in the street may as well be a stroll through the mall. Anywhere they rest their eyes, they'll be exposed to a marketing message. A typical American teenager will process over 3,000 discrete advertisements in a single day. And
Evan asks a really good question in the chat. What year is this from? And the answer is 2001. Thanks, Nance. Yeah, you got to it as well. Perfect. Yep. And I just wanted to point out that this guilt money theme is something really important to think about, considering the fact that that is kind of how iPads work as well. Busy parents give their kids iPads because they feel guilty because they're not able to spend time with their kids. So, yeah.
10 million by the time they are 18. Kids are also consuming massive quantities of entertainment media. 75% of teens have a television in their room. A third have their own personal computer, where they spend an average of 2 hours a day online.
I think one of the great things about this information age is with so many channels, you can say my business is 12 to 15, or my business is 21 to 24. As a result, you have the most marketed to group of teens and young adults ever in the history of the world.
It's a blizzard of brands, all competing for the same kids. To win teens' loyalty, marketers believe, they have to speak their language the best. So they study them carefully, as an anthropologist would an exotic native culture.
If you don't understand and recognize what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and then be able to take that in and come up with a really precise message that you're trying to reach these kids with in their terms, you're gonna lose. You're absolutely gonna lose.
Is there anybody in your group of friends in particular that is, always really following the trends?
Not really.
No? So it's just sort of all of you together kind of keep each other in check? Okay. Cool.
What makes this market so frustrating is that they don't operate the same way as the rest of us. They're a stubborn demographic, unresponsive to brands and traditional marketing messages. But there is one thing they do respond to: cool. Only cool keeps changing. So how do you map it? Pin it down.
Like if I'm moving up, stop me when we get to like 2 years ago.
What is cool anyway?
Like right here? Okay.
The search for this elusive prize has its own name: cool hunting.
Cool hunting is structured around really a search for a certain kind of personality and a certain kind of player in a given social network. For years and years on Madison Avenue.
For people with eyes off screen, that's Malcolm Gladwell. And so that's why his name is in the title of this, is because, yes, Gladwell is in this. So there you go.
If you knew where the money was and where the power was and where the big houses were, then you knew what was going to happen next. And cool hunting was all about a kind of revolution that sets that earlier paradigm aside and says, in fact, it has to do with the influence held by those who have the respect and admiration and trust of their friends.
Many companies don't trust themselves to do this kind of research, so they hire experts who can find these cool kids and speak their language.
We look for kids who are ahead of the pack because they're going to influence what all the other kids do. We look for the 20%, the trendsetters, that are going to influence the other 80%.
Dee Dee Gordon is a sought-after cool hunter. Just 30 years old, she commands high fees as a consultant to some of the largest corporations in America, and has been the subject of a New Yorker profile.
How good is she? I think she's as good as anyone is at this game. And it's something It's a difficult thing to quantify, of course. It's not a science. It's really a question, ultimately, of how much do you trust the person who's doing the interpretation and how good are their instincts. And I think in both cases, she's at the top of the field.
3 years ago, Gordon and her partner Sharon Lee left the small advertising agency where they worked to start their own business, Look.
All the photos are really busy, so somebody has to shoot a skateboarder in the air or a cyclist in the air.
Gordon and Lee have put together a team of what they call correspondents, all young, all former cool kids themselves.
The Slipknot story came in, and our writer did a really good job.
They're culture spies who penetrate the regions of the teen landscape where corporations aren't welcome.
Can I take your picture for a street culture website I work for? Go ahead. I gotta get your piercings. Can I get your tattoo? Yeah, sure.
A correspondent is a person who's been trained by us to be able to find a certain kind of kid, a kid that we call a trendsetter or an early adopter. This is a kid who's very forward in their thinking, who looks outside their own backyard for inspiration, who is a leader within their own group. These kids are really difficult to find. So what this correspondent does is they go out and they find and identify these trendsetting kids.
Good.
They interview them.
That would have been me wearing like a Slapshot t-shirt or a Blood for Blood t-shirt fighting the Slipknot kids.
Dude, any fandom that calls itself maggots, you know it needs to go. It needs to, you got to fight them. That's funny. I want to just point out, okay, so the first, when I was listening to this earlier, I was like, I better get their names. And so, yeah, it's Gordon and Lee and the correspondents. All right. So, the correspondents, we'll come back to Gordon and Lee and the correspondents and kind of
is that
how they have been replaced.
That was the Dee Dee girl, right? Gordon.
Yeah. The cool girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Former cool girl turned spy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Them interested in what we do. They send all that stuff in, we look at it, we compile it, we look for trends or themes that are happening through all the information, and that's the stuff that we put on our website.
For a subscription fee of $20,000 each, companies are granted access to the Look website, a Rosetta Stone of teen culture. If companies can get in on a trend or subculture while it is still underground, they can be the first ones to bring it to market.
And that's when the mass consumer picks up on it and runs with it and then eventually kills it.
And that's the paradox of cool hunting. It kills what it finds. As soon as marketers discover cool, it stops being cool.
So the faster you pick up on these trends and blow them out and show them to everybody and reveal them to corporate America, the more you force the kind of person who starts them and spreads them to move on and find the next. So you simply, there's no kind of solution to this. You can't ever solve the puzzle permanently. By discovering cool, you force cool to move on to the next thing.
For those who crossed out Madonna, why'd you cross out Madonna?
She's old.
She's old?
This creates a problem for marketers. Kids begin to see them as the enemy. So what do marketers do? Market to kids without seeming to do so. Become cool themselves, as Sprite did a few years ago.
I like the way you make me laugh.
In the early 90s, Sprite was an also-ran brand in the competitive soft drink category. Their focus groups with teenagers were designed to find out what was wrong.
What we found by talking to teens is that they had seen so much advertising that they were on overload and became very cynical about that traditional approach to advertising.
Hi, I'm Grant Hill, professional basketball player for the Detroit Pistons.
Then they launched this ad campaign aimed at teens, which pokes fun at marketing itself.
Because it's the only drink with that cool, crisp, refreshing taste that satisfies even my manliest thirst.
There was really no one in the market at the time that was saying, discount it all, don't believe it, it's all BS, and we know that you know that, and you're smarter than everyone else. So it put them in a position to feel like we understood them, so that they were feeding back to us, Sprite understands me, and Sprite is one, it's really one of us.
It worked for a while, but soon Sprite's own focus groups revealed that kids were getting wise to this anti-marketing marketing campaign.
They had Grant Hill telling you not to listen to some celebrity telling you to drink a beverage. Right. Well, that's what you're doing. You're listening to Grant Hill telling you to drink Sprite. Right.
I don't know how much they probably paid all those stars to come on and say, don't listen to what a star says.
So Sprite crossed an entirely new threshold into the innermost sanctum of teen culture, where they cloaked themselves in genuine cool.
Hip hop, for us, became the sort of vehicle or the lens for us to get to teens and talk to them in a credible way. And the way we did that was to develop relationships with artists.
They all of a sudden put their arm around that kid that was drinking Sprite and said, we understand you, we recognize you, we want to be part of your life, and not just please drink our product. They almost weren't even selling the product.
Wait a minute, Jacob Asafael Winter was in an episode of Jackass?
Yeah, my mind is blown right now.
Dude, what? What? That's crazy. Jacob,
CKY.
if you want to come on
Can't Kill Yourself?
Screen and tell us about that. We want to know. What about
Yeah,
CKY?
that would be super sick, Jacob, if you're free. CKY goes hard as shit though, dude. Like, as much as I don't like Bam and kind of what he did to skateboarding, his brother's band goes fucking hard.
Oh, CKY is his band.
Yeah, it's his brother's band. Can't Kill Yourself is what it stands for. And it used to be edgy and cool. And they were like a weird metal band, like death metal influences. There's maybe a little bit of like thrash influences, but they were actually like a really good band. And then the Jackass thing took off, and MTV kind of like perverted CKY, I think, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I remember vaguely that Bam was in bands, and I think he was somehow related to the band Him. Not sure.
Yeah, he what is it called? The heartogram?
Yeah.
Like their little logo.
Yeah. That was everywhere.
Yeah. And I think there's no ties other than Bam really liked them, because they were like an obscure European metal band.
Okay.
And then Bam was like, oh, I love this music. And so he took their logo. That was the band's logo. And Bam started using it as like his own logo, and it blew up.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Bam's not really the coolest dude in the world.
Okay. Dude, none of the Jackass guys are, and we're gonna get into it. This whole, so this is not like a side thing, folks. If you're like, what does Jackass have to do with? We're gonna get in. There's gonna be a whole part of this documentary where we'll get into it. Yeah, and so this should be good sort of background information for all of you people who were pre-conscious in the early aughts. I was, though I was definitely running around, and some of you weren't born yet, right? So like there's a span, but like in the 90s, a lot of this stuff that they'll touch on throughout this documentary is stuff that I kind of vaguely knew about or wanted. Like I wanted to watch Jackass and South Park and MTV and things like that, but I couldn't. We didn't have TV out where I lived. And so, it's like, it's something that I wanted. And it was transgressive rebellion. Like that, to me, that stuff was off limits, and that made it enticing, and kind of what we're going to be getting into here is how none of it was, right? Like that's part of the point. Yeah.
During, like this is right about where I stopped watching, but when they start talking about MTV, I actually got proud of myself, because even back then I was like, man, MTV's whack, dude. And we didn't have cable, so we couldn't watch MTV. What we had was channel 58, and it was called The Box. And it was like a radio station, but with music videos, so people could call in and make requests. Otherwise, they were just playing like So it was basically MTV. We didn't have cable. So it was like over the air MTV. But even back then, we were like, yeah, shit's whack, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a point when I think I got into music that definitely wasn't on the radio, and the kids I was hanging out with were certainly against music on the radio, and they were definitely against all that stuff too. But of course, we're about to see what they were resentful of. Okay, so we'll just keep it going.
Product, they were selling the fact that they understood the culture.
They were selling a lifestyle, and I think that's
right. And so we understand you, we recognize you, we want to be part of your life, and not just please drink our product. They almost weren't even selling the product; they were selling the fact that they understood the culture.
They were selling a lifestyle, and I think that's why Sprite's been so successful and one of the leaders in terms of reaching youth.
Former record executives John Cohn and Rob Stone run a New York marketing firm called Cornerstone. Their specialty is under-the-radar marketing. For instance, Cornerstone hires kids to log into chat rooms and pose as just another fan of one of their clients.
And that's what the focus group is about.
They also recruit incoming freshmen to throw parties where they pass out promotional material to their classmates.
If we're, maybe we've got a bunch of promo Busta Rhymes CDs, and that'd be great to give out at the hip-hop concert.
Cornerstone helps Sprite tap a network of radio DJs and hip-hop artists to smuggle their message into the world of kids.
The days of developing cute campaigns or whatever don't work anymore. You have to really get involved in what their culture is. You have to understand where they're coming from. You have to think how they think.
It worked. Thanks to the teens who buy it, Sprite is now the fastest growing soft drink in the world. Sprite invited us to a kickoff party for their new website, Sprite.com. Scores of kids were paid to show up and revel in the sounds and styles of urban authenticity. While we were there, some of the biggest acts in rap music appeared on stage under the company logo. Here it was, the ultimate marriage of a corporation and a culture. Sprite and hip-hop had become one and the same, each carrying the other to its audience.
Sprite has really become an icon. It's not just associated with hip-hop. It's really a part of it. As much as baggy jeans and sneakers, Sprite has become an icon in hip-hop culture.
Is it nostalgic to think that when we were young it was any different? That the thing we called youth culture wasn't something that was just being sold to us. It was something that came from us. An act of expression, not just of consumption. Has that boundary been completely erased? Today, 5 enormous companies are responsible for selling nearly all of youth culture. These are the true merchants of cool. Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Universal Vivendi, and AOL Time Warner.
The entertainment companies, which are a handful of massive conglomerates that own 4 of the 5 music companies that sell 90% of the music in the United States, those same companies also own all the film studios, all the major TV networks, all the TV stations pretty much in the 10 largest markets. They own all or part of every single commercial cable channel. They look at the teen market as part of this massive empire that they're colonizing. You should look at it like the British Empire, the French Empire in the 19th century. Teens are like Africa. That's this range that they're going to take over. And their weaponry are films, music, books, CDs, internet access, clothing, amusement parks, sports teams. That's all this weaponry they have to make money off of this market.
Of the 5 media giants, the coolest conglomerate on the block is Viacom. And Viacom's crown jewel, there on the second floor, is MTV, which last year earned the company $1 billion in profits. MTV launched 20 years ago with a simple but brilliantly commercial concept. Use record companies' promotional music videos as creative programming. Since then, the cable channel has grown into a youth marketing empire, but its basic business model has remained the same.
Everything in MTV is a commercial. That's all that MTV is. Sometimes it's an explicit advertisement paid for by a company to sell a product. Sometimes it's going to be a video for a music company there to sell music. Sometimes it's going to be the set that's filled with trendy clothes and stuff there to sell a look that will include products on that set. Sometimes it will be a show about an upcoming movie paid for by the studio, though you don't know it, to hype a movie that's coming out from Hollywood. But everything's an infomercial. There is no non-commercial part of MTV.
This strategy keeps MTV's airwaves filled with cheap and easy content.
Nelly's over there doing his thing. Let's check in with him. All right, let's see what Nelly's doing over there.
Take MTV's daily program, Direct Effects. See anything familiar? That's the Sprite.
What is that? Sorry, what?
I remember that dude that was just talking, that like unlocked a memory for me. Like I remember that dude, not him, the black guy right here, with the beanie on his head.
This strategy keeps MTV's airwaves filled with cheap and easy content.
Nelly's over there doing his thing.
Oh, this guy right here.
All right, let's see what Nelly's doing over there.
Take MTV's daily program, Direct Effects. See anything familiar? That's the Sprite.com party we showed you earlier. We didn't know it at the time, but the camera swirling over our heads belonged to MTV.
The Sprite.com launch party is crazy, and right now I got two of the hottest in hip-hop for you right now.
So let's connect the dots. Sprite rents out the Roseland Ballroom and pays kids $50 a pop to fill it up and look cool. The rap artists who perform for this paid audience get a plug on MTV's show, Direct Effects, for which Sprite is a sponsor. MTV gobbles up the cheap programming, promoting the music of the record companies who advertise on their channel. Everybody's happy. But while this cross-promotional free-for-all may maximize returns for MTV and Viacom, it also violates the first rule of cool: don't let your marketing show. MTV learned this lesson the hard way a few years ago when their ratings began to slip.
There was a perception that MTV had lost its way a bit with the young consumer. Ratings were down somewhat. Some of the trend studies said that we were less cool, less creative than before.
So MTV had the humility to realize that cool was not their birthright, that it belongs to kids and kids keep changing. If they wanted to stay cool, they'd have to change right along with them.
MTV felt like we needed to get a closer connection to the audience, where we said, if we know more about them, know more about their lives, know more about who they are, what they want, what they don't want, we can make a better MTV, as a better connection with the audience, if we talk to them and listen to them a lot more.
We immersed ourselves in research about the fall of '97 and have been able to turn that around to where now our rankings when it comes to creative or original or funky or anything you would care about, musically relevant, have went way, way up, and our ratings are their highest in their history.
5, 4, 3, go!
The new MTV is all about learning what kids really want, then delivering it to them. Their signature show, Total Request Live, plays music videos by popular demand. And every afternoon, mobs of kids crowd into Times Square to gaze up at the windows of the TRL studio, to see whichever mega band might be making a guest appearance. Today it's a TRL
Red hats
favorite,
have always been
rap
whack.
metal artist Slim.
They used to be Fred Durst, and now they're MAGA, like the MAGA hat. Like back before MAGA, it was Fred Durst rocking the red fucking fitted cap.
Oh my God. That's why I'm not wearing this hat right now, but maybe I should. Here we go. This is my only red hat. I used to have a red hat that said "Make America Read Again," and that's my current.
I like Ann's hat. It's not red, but what the hell does it say?
Make the 1975 political again.
Yeah, make the 1975 political again.
Yeah. Because he got canceled for being a normal dude.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually why I like him. That's the. He's also a good artist, but yeah. Okay. I wanted to say real quick about all this. Somebody said in the chat, let's see, Call Me Cheesecake said, Jesus, a Sprite party is cheesy. I just want to say, yeah, That is cheesy. You know what's really cheesy though? The Taco Bell Arena at Boise State University. That's fucking cheesy. Or how about this? The Albertsons Library. Publicly funded university, my ass. That's hilarious.
Wait a minute. It's the Albertsons Library?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
What, dude?
Yeah.
No way.
And has that like I guess I don't know, is it how is that hearing Nance respond to it? Like for us it's such a normal part of our lives, but yeah, the Taco Bell Arena, the Albertsons Library.
Yeah, I guess like when you go to college or like you're on the campus, it's like, oh yeah, that's just what that's called. But then if you've not been on a university campus, like as a student, probably like, what the fuck? There's like corporate, like such strong corporate presence. So yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
It's really cheesy.
That's crazy. Like they're supposed to name libraries after like civic leaders and presidents and like people in the community.
I mean, they could have at least named it the Winco Library. You know, I could get behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's like getting people loaves of sourdough that is quality at an affordable price. That is working class food right there. But no, it's Albertsons. It's fucking one step down from Whole Foods grandma. Yeah.
That's insane. I want a library, dude. I mean, if you could just buy a library, I mean, I'm sure they donated millions of dollars, but maybe I'll start a GoFundMe.
That's the real trajectory for Theory Underground is to eventually get
just to public buildings.
The Nance Library. Theory Underground Library.
Yeah.
Hey. Swoltariat.
Literally saw this like 20 years ago. Bananas. Wow, you got off Twitter to watch a documentary? Damn. Oh, that's because Twitter wasn't around 20 years ago. What's the last piece of media you saw, Swole, that wasn't social
Twitter.
media? Yeah, that wasn't Twitter.
That's the real question. He said, oof. Yes, you saw this 20 years ago. That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's funny. Us doing this and talking about Bernays is so close to us doing what you actually want us to do, and which is watching Adam Curtis. But we'll do anything to keep from making you happy, Swole. He said, "Am I racist?" Oh yeah. I'm gonna get in the chat and say, "Yes, you are. Yes, you are." I just saw The Substance in theaters, and it's tangentially related to this movie because it's about the beauty industry, except it's about people buying. You know, it's about a lot of things, but it's about age. Right? When those kids in the focus group were saying Madonna's not cool because she's old. That's kind of what it's about. Yeah. It's kind of, The Substance is about a woman who's a celebrity reaching 50, and then she wants to be young, and so she gets black market drugs, and it's a trip. It's a trip.
Have you seen Logan's Run, the 1970s science fiction movie?
I've heard of it.
I've been
told I need to watch it.
Yeah, that would be interesting to put those two films together for a discussion. Because Logan's Run, it's actually a really good movie. But the premise is that when they hit 40, I think they're recycled. And they're just like fucking incinerated or whatever. But yeah, that whole like the commodity that is the body of. Typically it happens to women, but it also does happen to men. But like, you're no good if you're not super duper beautiful, 10 out of 10. It sucks. It's a poignant thing that like real life human beings have to deal with. We could say, oh, they're rich celebrities, but yeah, they're rich celebrities, but it's also like we're dehumanizing these people to get our rocks off, and it's pretty gross.
Shout out to some who said, always appreciative of the content y'all be putting out. Totally unique. Well, thank you. I think that we'll probably want to do some more documentaries. If companies are nice enough to just put it out on the internet and let us watch it, you know, chances are it might be worth watching. In some cases, like for instance, I'd like to watch that one called The Corporation. Like, I keep hearing about that documentary. I haven't seen it. Swole, you saw that one, right? Mills says Adam Curtis is a pipeline. Put Bernays on my radar.
Shout out, dude. Hell yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I got Bernays through Curtis, but I might have gotten it secondhand from Curtis. So Adam Curtis documentaries are definitely prolific, ahead of their time, blah, blah, blah. But no, I haven't seen it.
I got what you need.
I have
got the plug.
I have several thousand docs on my PC. Yeah, but 98% of them are about 9/11, and I don't need to watch that many documentaries about 9/11. Swole.
Dude, I think Zeitgeist is on Amazon or on Prime.
I thought it was on Netflix for a while, which is crazy.
It is nuts.
That's crazy.
Like, you guys you guys don't care. Like,
but
that's
think
insane.
about it. The History Channel had Ancient Aliens for like a decade.
No, I know. But like that isn't like dangerous. Like Zeitgeist, like it's actually kind of dangerous, dude. Like it kind of includes some I mean it at least sets you on a pathway to become like a pretty scary person.
Some said,
I mean, what do I know? I watched it and I'm not scary.
Some said, you've seen the trailer for Zeitgeist Requiem. It released a while ago. No, I have not seen
For real? Hell yeah, dude.
Poop thinks that it's awesome. I think you guys are all giving it a little too much credit here, but you know,
You're right. You're right.
I bet it is crazy that they would be putting that on Netflix though. Yeah, that is absolutely wild. All right, let's keep going.
Limp Bizkit, whose videos are frequently voted into the top 10. More on them later.
It's really the first time MTV was able to give over the control of a show to the viewers and say, you know what, you tell us what you want to hear, what you want to see, what the videos are. And they've been in control of it since it went on the air. So I think that's one of the reasons that it's really important to us, and it's really important to the audience because there's that real bond.
Yeah, this new CD, Granddaddy.
To ensure that bond stays strong, MTV must understand where teen culture is moving. Market research is the mantra, and its guru is Todd Cunningham.
Some of this music is dead on for exactly what kind of stuff that our audience is going to want. And the research efforts at MTV are certainly legendary. There's been a kind of feverish addiction to research and understanding young people, and that's been embraced from the very top down.
MTV let us in on their techniques. Todd Cunningham told us to meet him at an address in the small town of Island, New Jersey. A short time after we arrived, a black town car pulled up. Cunningham, a former advertising industry executive, emerged with a member of his staff. This little field trip, Cunningham had explained, is called an ethnography study, in which MTV market researchers visit a typical fan in his home.
Hey, Todd.
Today, MTV is meeting John, an ordinary kid in every respect, who is carefully screened to make sure he is just that. It is hoped that by studying John in his natural habitat, MTV might gain insight into one of the most valuable segments of their viewing demographic, the teenage male.
I'd love to see, like, clothes. Like, what's your favorite thing you have? What's the favorite shirt?
I don't know, probably one of my sweaters. They're in my drawers, if you want to see them.
Okay, well, we can look at that in a minute. What else? What are the kind of things you wear usually? Like, what's...
Do they just, like, randomly select viewers to come see? Like, what got this guy, John, picked? You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious about their research methods because they're saying that they went research crazy. And I definitely want to hit on the idea that they thought that they were treating their subjects like anthropologists, which I think we'll get more into here. But yeah, what do you think, Nance?
I know that back in the day, in the 90s, when we went to the shopping mall, like the big shopping mall, the big fancy one, they had the focus group people, and they would pay you anywhere from like $1 to like $20. And like, they'd be normal looking people with a clipboard, and they'd be like, hey, do you have, 20 minutes to an hour to do a focus group? And they, like, the people with the clipboards who were collecting their focus group respondents or whatever, like, it was on them to like find people that they thought looked interesting or cool or whatever to bring them in. And it was a way that you could get, money for lunch, money for a 40, or whatever. But yeah, like they were probably college students age. Like, we were like little shithead kids, and they were probably in their early 20s. And it was like, that was their job, to find cool looking kids or whatever and bring them into this back room that smelled like plastic furniture and ask you weird questions.
This user, manifestly latent, you fucking nailed it. 100%. I'm pushing the clap button for you. My stream deck is a little laggy. I don't know what's going on, but I expect the applause to go off any second now. And when it does, props to you for saying the thing, which is that big data does all of this now. 100%. That's exactly where this is going for me. We go from MTV to MySpace to basically YouTube and TikTok. That's the current situation. And we all do this market research so that Gordon and Lee don't have to go do this cool hunting. We are saving MTV, but really Viacom and all the rest of these giant companies, we're saving them the hassle of actually having to go to John's room. And also, there's so many more. It's kind of like with the post-class fractured mass. It's not just teenagers form this giant consumer block that is worth $150 billion per year in the 90s when this was being... they're referring to some point in the 90s when teenagers were spending $1 billion per year. Parents were spending $50 billion per year on those teenagers. And so, of course, understanding those teenagers became very important. Well, the internet became a much more efficient way of doing that. That's Ayo? Ayo. Great to see you. I didn't realize Manifestly Latent is Ayo. That's cool. Yeah, man. But it makes sense then that was Ayo, because Ayo's always got like the CMT insight. So thank you.
Yep.
Man. Yeah, good point.
I wear a lot of like khaki pants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I have some suits for church or whatever.
We shut the door in their bedrooms and talk to them about issues that they feel like are really important to them. We talk with them about what it's like to date today, what it's like dealing with their parents, what things stress them out the most, what things are like really on the hearts and minds of them and their peers. I'm just curious about like things with like, you want to have a seat if you want, just like with your girlfriend and stuff like that. And I mean, we always just ask these kind of questions about, how long have you guys been dating?
Since June 1st.
It's captured on video. So we have a camera crew, sound and light crew there. We cut that videotape together, put it to music, edit it in an MTV style way. We then take that around and show it to various department meetings, share with them the insights that we've learned.
So what happens to all this careful research? All the hours and dollars that MTV spends learning about who our kids really are? When all the tape is reviewed, what portrait of the American teenage male emerges?
The water go. Oh, God! Hopkins on my leg.
His critics call him the Mook. That's right, M-O-O-K.
The Mook. All right, this is the section I promised. We're going to get into it. Is that actually a term that was around? Or is this just a term for marketers? Yeah.
When I was in junior high, Mook was what older kids called younger kids. So it was kind of like, I don't know, like a dweeb or a nerd or whatever, but it was also like to signal they're like in group, like it was a shibboleth type deal, right? Because it was like, what the fuck does that word mean? Like it was a random word that as a younger kid coming in, you didn't know. And then all of a sudden you hear people start saying it and shit. And so it was a way to like make fun of, but it was also like an in-group, out-group thing. But I don't know if it was like a real thing or if I don't know, but it seems to be the case that it was like a real-ish word.
Okay, so yeah, Mook.
Woogies. Mooks and Woogies.
Oh, okay. What? Oh, I don't remember that. What? I don't remember either of these things. What's the Woogie?
Woogie was now I don't remember. But yeah, Mooks and Woogies.
Okay, well, and the stuff about the Moog, you're going to be interested in this. I don't think it's really changed, except that the Mook and how to sell an identity to the Mook has definitely evolved. But you want to see the basis for it? It's right here. So, yeah. This is basically just like the fuck boy, like the teenage-minded 30-year-old. I mean, obviously, like from teen until 40, like you have like just like the adolescent-minded boy, and the advertising companies that sell that kid transgression and keep him mentally stunted and consuming. That's what this is going to be about, the Mook. And then we'll get into the female fucking, I don't know, like prop to the Mook, the alter ego to the Mook, the midriff. So we'll get into the midriff as well.
Mook. And you can find him almost any hour of the day or night, somewhere on MTV.
It's literally swole.
He's not real.
Just look at him.
He's a character. Crude, loud, obnoxious, and in your face. He's Tom Green of The Tom Green Show.
There's a sewage
Eric
plant
Andre.
in my anus, and it stinks.
And he's the daredevils on Jackass who indulge in dignity-defying feats like poo diving.
Uh-oh, Jacob.
And this is poo diving.
Except Eric Andre is amazing. What were you gonna say? What do you say? What?
Oh, I said Jacob because they mentioned Jackass. But no, like being Tom Green, being Eric Andre, Nathan Fielder, who's the guy that does the really funny show on Netflix?
Nathan Robinson.
Tom.
Tim Robinson.
Tim Robinson.
Why do I always say Nathan Robinson when I'm on the spot?
Because you think of Nathan Fielder.
I do. It literally is crossing wires. Thanks,
But
Ann.
Wait a minute.
But Tim Robinson is.
Thank you.
Tim Robinson's deeper than that, though. But yeah.
That's what. Like, I think Tom Green. I don't think Tom Green was what they're saying he is, because he is very much the Eric Andre, the Nathan Fielder, and they. I don't know.
Daddy wants some sausage. Daddy wants some sausage.
Yeah, but dude, like Tom Green. Yeah, but he like created podcasting. Like Tom Green was always investigating the medium, like just like Eric Andre, just like Tim Robinson.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the intention that goes into what they're doing is like pretty fucking mind-blowing. And they look like a fool on the surface, but they're playing the character, they're playing the role. Like they're fucking geniuses.
Yeah, but they're taking it to its limit in a way that renders it absurd. So it's like Jackass is doing the mook, whereas there are these guys who take the mook and then like they're a bit more absurd about it, and they're like
satirizing it.
They're satirizing it, yeah. So I think that there's something there. There's something there, and I think that opens up a conversation we'll get into after it comes around. At the point that we get into ICP and Limp Bizkit and rage rap or metal rap, like at that point in this documentary, I think we should bring that topic back, because I think that there's something they're missing in their analysis. Because typically where these kind of progressive critiques of corporate advertising culture go, they go, oh yeah, it's feeding masculinity, and it's like, I think what they're forgetting is like that there's a legitimate basis for male rage, and that actually needs a real outlet. You can't just put everyone on estrogen. Actually, like you actually have to have legitimate outlets for that, and there are
or else
better
it becomes
and
a
worse.
Surplus, or
Yeah.
it is a surplus, and it has to be expended somewhere. And if you don't have a pro-social constructive avenue to expend that surplus, it will force a fucking toxic caustic one.
Yeah.
100%. I like this, but I'm surprised, like Douglas Rushkoff is pretty cool, and I'm surprised that he's kind of having this like standard liberal progressive take on it all.
Dude, I like how we paused it on the "this is poo diving" scene from Jackass. Jeez, man. Yeah. Jackass.
By the way,
I did a lot of crazy shit for Jackass. I just want to say, like, I've jumped off of buildings for Jackass. I've eaten cayenne peppers for Jackass. You know, because we used to just do all kinds of crazy shit and always say, for Jackass.
Do it for Jackass.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. They probably don't anymore. But for a while, people were saying, do it for the gram. But it was the same thing. Like, just do absurd shit and do it for Jackass. Do it for the gram. I want to let the audience know Anne has a superpower. Anne has the ability to be invisible. So if you can't see her, it's not because her camera's off.
Yeah.
It's because she's actually invisible.
It's true.
It's crazy. We just
Because
found
I'm
it out.
curled up in a ball on the couch, and you guys don't need to see that.
We'll all just remember, you don't have to be on camera. You can just curl up in a ball and enjoy the documentary. Anne is your license for that. Look at that. Look with the Baby Yoda blanket. Are you kidding me? Comfortable.
I love
as a
that
human.
blanket.
Have you cuddled with that blanket, Nance?
Dude, yeah, that was me and Ryan in the back seat. That was it.
Everybody, I think that our cat Ryan imprinted on Nance on tour.
Shut up.
It actually likes Nance more than us.
No, he loves us.
It's crazy because cats make me sneeze. Yeah, like we were in the hotel rooms, dude. Like Ryan would just get in bed with me. Like you guys were like, dude, what are you doing? And Ryan was like, no, I'm gonna go hang out with him.
It's true. So, Anne doesn't like that narrative, but it's my theory. And if Nance comes for TUCon and Ryan sleeps with Nance, I told Anne Ryan is going to go back to Arizona with Nance because I love Ryan. Hold on. Let me say it. I love Ryan more than any cat. But here's the deal. He won't sleep with us. And so there's this slim possibility. It grows larger every time I think about it. And that is that Ryan actually loves Nance and thinks that we're just babysitting him. Because because on tour, who did he bond with? Nance.
No.
No, I think he's just going through a phase. It's because Thomas.
I think he's going
Thomas
through a
is
phase,
new.
actually.
The Swolitarian said, Mooks and Woogies, Nance is having an aneurysm. Weird Solowski said, there's love and bravery in Jackass. There just is. Sure, man. I mean, I can't watch people drinking horse cum ever again. But, you know, like the old lady stunt when they're on the walkers, like that's pretty funny. So, you know, they got the moments.
That was Spike Jonze. Like not all of Jackass sucks. Like Spike Jonze was, I think, like their main filmer for a while, and he's like, he did Her, the movie Her. Like he's actually a pretty based filmmaker guy. But I think it was like his thing was like the old people skit. So that's why it was good.
Weird Solowski says, Ryan, you're not my dad. All right, let's keep going. All right. Like I only paused it to say this section on the MOOC. Pay attention to it.
He's those frat boys and their whipped cream bikini girlfriends on MTV's constantly recurring spring break specials.
Hey, Terrence, what brand of pants am I wearing? Let me see.
He has migrated to MTV's sister network, Comedy Central, where he's the cartoon cutouts of South Park, or the lads on The Man Show.
The juggies look nice, don't they?
Eat those beans.
The MOOC is perhaps Viacom's most bankable creation. Once programmers discovered his knack with teenage boys, they replicated him across the length and breadth of their empire.
Oh my goodness. Grabbing my ass. Grabbing my ass.
Take Howard Stern, perhaps the original and still king of all MOOCs. Look how Viacom leverages him across their properties. He is syndicated on 50 of Viacom's Infinity radio stations. His weekly TV show is broadcast on Viacom's CBS. His #1 best-selling autobiography was published by Viacom's Simon & Schuster, then released as a major motion picture by Viacom's Paramount Pictures, grossing $40 million domestically and millions more on videos sold at Viacom's Blockbuster Video.
Go ahead, tell me more about me.
So does the whole teenage experience come down to this? Are our boys mooks? Is John a mook? I don't think so. Maybe all that research isn't really about understanding John as a person. It's about understanding John as a customer. I mean, they don't call it human research or people research. They call it market research.
The MTV machine does listen very carefully to children. When corporate revenues depend on being ahead of the curve, you have to listen. You have to know exactly what they want and exactly what they're thinking so that you can give them what you want them to have. Now, that's an important distinction. The MTV machine doesn't listen to the young so it can make the young happier. It doesn't listen to the young so it can come up with, startling new kinds of music, for example. The MTV machine tunes in so it can figure out how to pitch what Viacom has to sell.
Crotch, crotch, crotch.
There is no mook in nature. He is a creation designed to capitalize on the testosterone-driven madness of adolescence. He grabs them below the belt and then reaches for their wallets.
What, my crotch?
What MTV is struggling with is what's going on with all our cultural industries. We have fewer and fewer owners, but more and more choices. So they have to desperately find ways to keep people looking for gimmicks, and they don't have a huge time frame to establish an identity. With the remote control, your shelf life of chances to keep someone, to get them to stay there, is very short. You can't develop a character over 6 weeks. They're going to be gone after 2 minutes. So it puts pressure on commercial culture providers like MTV to try to find sort of things that their research shows will click right away, recognizable things, and play on those.
It's funny to think that the most advanced form of marketing today comes in the form of a 300-pound body slam. Professional wrestling is the most popular form of entertainment among teenage boys in America. When I was a kid, wrestling was an amusing little outpost of the culture. Today, wrestling is sheer spectacle, a magnificently honed lure for the teenage male channel surfer. The wrestlers themselves have a word for it: pop.
Pop means when that crowd pops, when they react. Wow!
It's like a shock reaction, something that, they didn't really expect it, so you may get that big surprise out of them, just like when you catch somebody coming around the corner and you jump out and they go, whoa! It's the same thing,
When you overexperience somebody,
it's a big pop.
Wow!
We should learn from this, Nance, and we should do poo diving, and we should tell people gossipy details about our lives. I think some combination of those two things. And maybe, I don't know, I was going to be crass and say something about titties, but I'm a married man, and and I can't even joke about these things anymore. Just I have
Yeah, because we'll be forced to cancel you, dude. I'm excited that they're getting into wrestling. In the chat, Mills and Jacob, so we were talking about Mook. Oh, is Mook like Mark? Mark is a term that comes out of professional wrestling, and a Mark is someone who you can get over on. Like a Mark is a wrestling fan who is like sitting at the corner of the ring, like holding a hot dog and a fucking extra large soda and like drooling because they just love it so much, and the wrestlers get over on them. Interesting little biographical tidbit.
Get over on him?
Get over is when you sell. Sticking with the advice we just took, some biographical tidbits, right? Some salacious details. I used to work with a wrestling promotion in Salt Lake City called Devotion Championship Wrestling, and they were purchased by AEW, which is currently one of the big professional wrestling markets. There's like WWE and there's AEW. So I used to work with Devotion as photo and film guy. So I used to be at the wrestling shows ringside taking photos and video and shit. And growing up, I never watched wrestling. I just wasn't into it. I was into skateboarding. I was into music. But as an adult, actually working for the promotion, it's a finely tuned art, dude. It's a fucking hustle, and the way they like tell stories is so calculated. It's scientific, dude. Vince McMahon changed the world by kind of creating the American professional wrestling industry. And yeah, talking about marks and shit like that. It's super interesting. I'm excited about this part.
Marks and mooks. So is a mark like a simp?
A mark is like a simp could be a mark. Like, I guess a simp is a mark for someone trying to get them to simp for them. Like a mark is like that's my mark. I'm gonna hit the target. I'm gonna get over on this guy. I'm gonna make this guy my bitch. But it's also a name for a fan. Like, it doesn't have to be like a derogatory, malicious thing. Like, if you're just a super fan, the wrestlers say, "Oh yeah, those are marks."
Okay. Call Me Cheesecake said, plot twist. This channel is secretly plot twist. This channel is secretly about wrestling.
That's awesome.
And where there's pop, there's money. That's why wrestling has been propagated across the entire spectrum of teen media. It's broadcast 15 hours a week on 5 different networks and is seen by 15 million people. Wrestling's violence doesn't scare me. Its ubiquity does.
It is huge with our audience at sort of program levels that I could have never imagined It is the hottest thing going among males 18 to 24 and, in fact, among teen boys. And so we felt like while we don't want that to be the defining element of our business, it was okay to be in the game.
It was simply too big to ignore.
That's what it was.
When you got a few gigantic transnational corporations, each one loaded down with debt, competing madly for as much shelf space and brain space as they can take, they're going to do whatever they think works the fastest and with the most people, which means that they will drag standards down.
And girls get dragged down there right along with boys. The media machine has spit out a second caricature. Perhaps we can call this stereotype the midriff. The midriff is no more true to life than the mook. If he is arrested in adolescence, she is prematurely adult. If he doesn't care what people think of him, she is consumed by appearances. If his thing is crudeness, hers is sex. The midriff is really just a collection of the same old sexual cliches, but repackaged as a new kind of female empowerment. I am midriff, hear me roar. I am a sexual object, but I'm proud of it.
Wait.
Oh,
The midriff archetype is undoubtedly teenage megastar Britney Spears, whose latest album.
What do you want to say about Britney Spears?
Leave Britney alone.
Oh. Yeah, for real though.
What was it? A couple months ago, we right before a CMT session, we had a short little convo about JoJo Siwa.
Oh yeah. No, that was before I'm about to release it. I think it's coming out tomorrow. That's the first lecture in the Levinas series.
Was it Levinas? It was, because we started talking about, I think JoJo Siwa is a very compelling tragedy. And I think Britney, it's a similar story. Like it's tragic, and it happens to, like, they are spectacular examples of what happens to child stars all the time. And it's fucking horrible, dude. It's disgusting. And it does tend to happen more to women, just because the nature of the industry, there are more paying men out there. So there are more women who are like offered up on the market, but it's the same thing that happens. Young people are turned into like objects of desire, and then they're just chewed up and spat out, and then they become things for people to laugh at and like make hour-and-a-half long YouTube videos about like the tragic downfall of this young woman. And it's fucking heartbreaking. Unironically, leave Britney alone.
Yeah. This is all pre-Britney burnout, right? That's the thing, the celebrity, people are always like, oh, that person's going crazy. And it's like, yeah, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. It's a crazy situation that they are in. It's not a natural one. There's nothing like it, There's nothing like being on 24/7 and the mass proliferation of your image being the thing that everybody wants to interpret all the time, right? Like that gets out ahead of you. There's no, in Levinasian terms, there's a point after which you can no longer come to the assistance of your own image or your own signification. And at the point that you can't do that, like, yeah, there might be like a sort of stoic way of handling it, but outside of that, I don't know. By the way, who was it that just said something about, I think it was Jacob said, yeah, the big other made the mook. And I wanted to say, this made me think of the Moeller conversation that's going to be going up soon, our interview with Carefree Wandering. The difference between the big other and the general peer, this is, I think it's a useful distinction, because in this case, the mook really is like a general peer of a sort.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas like the big other, and in fact, maybe we could say the mook as a kind of general peer also has like this super egoic, you should be enjoying all the time kind of element to it.
Yep.
Yeah. But like the Big Other has like sort of prohibition and like I don't know.
Yeah, permissive.
Like, it's like
a permissiveness as opposed to a prohibition. Yeah.
Like it brings the dimension of
dude.
height to some degree, whereas the pier doesn't bring like that same kind of height. It's a different kind of yardstick.
Yeah, it's a horizontal otherness as opposed to like there's no authority. There is authority. It's a different type of authority. It's not authority from on high. It's authority from, superiority of numbers. And it's like, well, I have to do this. This is just what one does.
Yep.
The mook is the general peer. I like that. I think we need to resurrect mook as a term
For the general peer.
Yeah.
We'll ask Moeller what he thinks of the mook and the general peer.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Album, Oops, I Did It Again, has sold over 8 million copies. She hit the scene at 16 with Baby One More Time, as a naughty Catholic schoolgirl bursting out of her uniform. When it came time for a spread in Rolling Stone, a 17-year-old self-professed virgin Britney struck the classic nymphette pose. And at the Video Music Awards last year, when Britney finally and famously came out of her clothes, she wasn't just pleasing eager young boys. She was delivering a powerful missive to girls. Your body is your best asset. Flaunt your sexuality, even if you don't understand it. And that's the message that matters most, because Britney's most loyal fans are teenage girls.
I think I did it. Oh, can I use that? You can use it. Sure. Made you believe we're more than just friends.
We met Barbara and her friends at the New York Hilton, where they were preparing for the opportunity to step into the roles of midriffs themselves.
I want to be a model. I want to be an actor. I want people to notice me and just be like, wow, she is pretty. I have to look good for people. If I need to look good. Like, if I don't look good for people, I'll be really upset and it'll, like, ruin my day. So whenever I go out with friends, like, even just over to their house, I need to look good.
Barbara and hundreds of other girls have come here to the International Model and Talent Association's annual convention.
Yeah, that's heavy
These
shit.
girls have paid up to $4,000 a pop for the chance to be paraded before hundreds of agents and talent.
Yeah, it's like when we're watching boys get appealed to at like this, below the belt and for the wallet, like it's kind of like, it's easy for us to kind of just be like, fucking, it's stupid. But as soon as it's like these little girls who are just like, I want to be attractive, and they're trying to be like Britney, it's like, oh God, that's dark.
Yeah.
Talent scouts on the lookout for new blood. There have always been starry-eyed girls like this, but what's new is their sophistication. They've learned how a midriff should talk, move, and sell herself.
Hello, my number is 7996. Fruit of the Loom? Bet you thought they were just for men. Well, now there's new Fruit of the Loom feminine style, because girls know a good thing when they see one. Thank you.
Now it's time for 13-year-old Barbara to prove she has what it takes.
Very good headshot. Yeah, Barbara, what do you feel that your age range is?
Well, I say I look 17.
What do you think it is?
Angela Wren from JRP Fort Worth.
I am originally 13. I think I can range to 16 or 17.
You are 13?
Yeah.
You're 13 years old?
Yeah.
What do you want to really do? What are you interested in?
I would like to become successful.
Good girl.
I want to land a contract with someone or get an agent.
Let's say that you go through this convention and like nothing happens and no interest, then what?
For some reason, I know that if I keep trying, I might get somewhere.
Yeah. It was so nice to meet you.
It's nice
Thanks, Barbara.
to meet
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barbara's just one of hundreds in this season's crop. It's a bounty for Hollywood talent agents who have more vacancies for new midriffs every day. Jeff Maroney has discovered some of the hottest teen stars in the business. Perhaps his biggest discovery was an unknown teenager named Jessica Biel.
She was my client for 5 years, and I found her here. She was on stage. She was 12 years old. Most people here weren't interested in her. She didn't, I don't think, really win any awards. And she was 12 years old, and she was like way too tall for her age, and she was singing the Lullaby of Broadway, and I think doing fan kicks or something like that. And I just went, oh my gosh, there's a star.
Jessica Biel's first big part was on a fledgling television.
Dude, I mean, like, the fucking, like, can we talk about the predatory behavior of these companies with these people who are, like, recruiting fucking kids to be, like, sex objects? That's insane.
It's like, I think a lot of the time I use sensational language and I'll say shit like America eats her youth, like capitalism runs on the blood of children, shit like that. But like this, it's not that sensational when you actually look at like what we're talking about right now. Like they are looking at children as this resource. And with the men, you see it tends more to like the masculine, violent, goofy stuff. But with the women, it turns into this shit that it's gross, dude. It's fucking gross. And it's crazy.
AO says midriffs and mooks are just influencers now. Yeah. Yes, 100%. And instead of like the creepy thing where like this guy who, come on, let's look at this guy's face really quick. Let's like, yeah, is this the guy? He's the guy talking about recruiting the girl. Yeah. So look at him. Yep. Look at that guy's face. That guy. Think about this
Jared
guy.
From Subway looking ass.
Yeah. Think about this guy recruiting 12-year-olds, right? And then it's like, oh yeah, well that's kind of weird. Well, you know what's less weird, but just as weird? It's little kids getting on Instagram and applying makeup and then trying to become big stars and then starting their OnlyFans the moment they turn 18, right? Like it's just like, yeah, it's more isolated. It seems more consensual. The 30 through 50-year-old people who are recruiting them are like behind the scenes, and it's just a platform, so it all feels neutral, right? It feels more DIY.
Well, and there's also like this weird intersection of this exactly mooks and midriffs being young influencers. There's also this weird intersection with progressive sentiment or whatever. Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna be an influencer and I'm gonna like say all the right things and talk about like how racism sucks and we shouldn't be bigots, and that's what I'm gonna do. But while I'm doing that, I'm also gonna be this like piece of meat, and I'm gonna be like a makeup influencer or a clothes influencer or whatever, and it becomes actually like celebrated in such a weird, fucked up way by like. I don't know, man. It's hard. It's gross. It's hard to think about.
The industry is so insanely predatory on young women right now. Like even just normal girls. I have an 18-year-old student who got Botox. Like 18 years old are getting Botox and lip fillers. I could probably just point to like how many of my students have lip filler because it's not hard to tell. So like even if they're not trying to become one of those influencers, it's like it's so insidious towards like normal pretty girls are like, we need to get cosmetic surgery at the age of freaking 17 to 19.
That's insane. Yeah. Like it's inhuman. Like this is like demonic shit. Like this makes me want to go full full crazy conspiracy theorist because it is fucking demonic. Like I don't believe in the devil, but this shit is devilish.
Yeah. And on the 18-year-olds on, with Botox, we have expressed our concerns with the medicalization of gender theory and ego psychology. And one thing you'll see people like Lance from the Surfs saying as a response to that is that that's just a transphobic concern because, look, cis kids are already getting plastic surgeries, so what's the problem? And it's like, dude, why are cis kids getting...
also a problem.
The fuck is wrong with you, you piece of shit, you fucking creep? Dude, that is disgusting. Teach kids it's okay to look different, and you don't have to look like a fucking ideal image of anything, and just come to terms with your fucking awkward nose. Come to terms with your fucking Adam's apple and your fucking ears sticking out. Come to terms with being short or tall or fat. Just figure it out, man. Come to terms with it. Don't fucking buy this bullshit. I'll kill myself if I can't get this surgery. Shut the fuck up, man. Stop telling people that they need that. That's absolutely insane. And it's just like what's that, Ann?
On that note, everyone should go see The Substance in theaters. Trigger warning. Body horror.
Trigger warning. I did not hit the clapping button. I don't know what happened. Just anyway, yeah, The Substance is really good. Go watch it. But this guy's face on here, right? Like I see, like it's a lot more obvious when he's out at these corporate events recruiting 12-year-olds, and then of course those girls are being pipelined into an industry that is going to sell them Botox and boob jobs. But it's a lot less creepy, apparently, when it's influencers who call themselves radical, who are sitting there rationalizing the exact same industry, doing the exact same thing. So, I mean, I just wanted to point that out. Let's keep it going.
Something like that, and I just went, oh my gosh, there's a star.
Jessica Biel's first big part was on a fledgling television network devoted to the teenager, the WB. She played a minister's daughter on the wholesome teen drama Seventh Heaven. Seventh Heaven was part of the WB's newly devised formula, radical by the standards of teen television. Keep it clean.
Everyone else was going the edgy route, so maybe we ought to go completely different. And there was about a year period where we went family friendly. And I think our slogan was where America's families can watch television together.
You have done so
Yeah,
well.
Dave, we lost audio.
Oops. Okay. Well, then I won't mute it from Zoom again. I think everyone else was still able to hear it on OBS, but basically, yeah, I'll just set it back a second. There we go. All right. Thanks for the heads up there.
Radical by the standards of teen television. Keep it clean.
Everyone else was going the edgy route, so maybe we ought to go completely different. And there was about a year period where we went family friendly. And I think our slogan was where America's families can watch television together.
You have done so well. Regaining your balance, getting back on track with your diet and exercise. I'm very proud of you.
That was a novel approach at the time because, except for maybe the Wonderful World of Disney, the families could not watch television together. So, programming and marketing met, and we thought that's going to be our angle.
But the WB's family-friendly shows had to compete against programming like this. The eye-grabbing sex scenes of Beverly Hills 90210 and other risque teen dramas.
Let's take off all our clothes.
By its third season, the WB made a course change. Their new trajectory? Dawson's Creek, a show about a group of sex-obsessed high school friends in an idyllic Cape Cod town. On Dawson's first episode, one of its lead characters, 14-year-old Pacey, begins a sexual affair with his teacher.
I'm sorry.
It had attractive teens, and it spoke to, especially the female audience, But at the same time, the Newsweeks and the Time magazines were writing about this rather risque show where a 14-year-old boy was having a romance with his teacher.
You needed that plot line to really give it a bang.
To give it a bang.
So, Jen, you a virgin?
That's mature.
Well, because Dawson is a virgin, and two virgins really makes for a clumsy first encounter, don't you think?
In bringing teen sexual content to what had always been network TV's 8 o'clock family hour, Dawson's Creek and the WB made the headlines. However reluctantly, they had raised the sexual stakes even further. What would teens come to expect from TV now? Who would top Dawson's? MTV, that's who, by launching a new nighttime soap unambiguously entitled Undressed. Dispensing with plot almost completely, its quick-cut, channel surf-resistant vignettes draw their characters so thinly they nearly disappear.
Come here.
It's sex TV's answer to wrestling, stringing together explosions of pop to keep its teen audience hooked.
I'll give you something you've been obsessing about ever since our parents got married.
Meanwhile, at the Cineplex, amped-up efforts like Cruel Intentions were bringing unprecedented sexual sophistication to teen movies. One of the biggest teen hits of 1999, Cruel Intentions is the story of two spoiled step-siblings. She promises to sleep with him if he will sexually humiliate her rival.
You can put it anywhere.
Right here, the audience will be freaking out.
Neil Moritz, the producer of Cruel Intentions, is one of the most successful teen impresarios in Hollywood.
I mean, I definitely want to push the envelope with my movies because, to me, if you're making the same thing that everybody else is making, then you don't have much chance of getting people to come to your movies. And for me, I love making movies, and the only way I'm going to get to be able to keep making movies is by making movies that do business.
Down, boy.
A movie like I have, Cruel Intentions, where we go off and we make it for $12 million. We do $40 million here. We do $60 million overseas. There's $100 million in box office, plus all the ancillary markets, whether it be video cassette or cable or all these other markets. There's tremendous streams of revenue coming in.
Moritz's films have come under intense scrutiny for their sex and violence. One was even included in a government investigation because it was test marketed to 11 and 12-year-olds. Still, he makes no apologies about going for the jugular.
I think what you can't do is play down to the teenagers, play down to the young people. No teenager is going to be satisfied with a PG-13 rated horror film, okay? They want to see the blood and guts. That's what they want to do. They want to see the slasher element of those films. And you can't do that the way they want to see it and get a PG-13 rating.
But even those with the best of intentions get caught in the downward spiral of sex and violence. We noticed a kind of schizophrenia on the set of Dawson's Creek. At times, the show feels like the Waltons injected with a dose of Beverly Hills 90210. Two of its main characters are staunch virgins into their senior year of high school. But as if to keep the show cool, everyone around them is either having sex or talking about it incessantly.
Running tally of all the losers you've dated?
Only the ones we're stuck with.
What do you think kids talk about? What do you think teenagers talk about? Teenagers talk about sex. Teenagers are consumed with sex. It is my personal opinion that teenagers should not be having sex, but they are. They're confronted with it in terms of advertising, and they see it on television, in primetime shows, and in fact, in daytime shows. We've really taken sex responsibly, I feel that the WB has, and tried to portray ramifications of it, why and how and when and where to say no.
Dawson's writers and producers are aware that this is treacherous terrain. Here they are in a production meeting, getting a lesson in accountability from a team of teen sex experts called the Media Project.
Give me a good comeback line. If a guy says, wearing a condom doesn't feel good.
Oh, come on, you're writers here.
I got one. Neither does herpes.
28-year-old Greg Berlanti is executive producer of Dawson's Creek.
Why not lean into the fact that that these kind of topics are being discussed? Why not be aware of that, and through that awareness, help kids to redefine and help people to redefine how they deal with that information? as opposed to trying to put another finger in the dam when it's gonna bust.
The makers of teen TV argue that they're only reflecting the real world. Sex is a part of teens' lives, so it better be in their media too. Media is just a mirror after all. Or is it?
It seemed everyone wanted to show off their bum last year.
Take the annual migration of college and high school kids to spring break. For the past 15 years, MTV has packaged spring break into a staged television performance and then repackaged it through the year on show after show.
Hop on and ride him around.
Kids are invited to participate in sexual contests on stage or are followed by MTV cameras through their week of debauchery. Sure, some kids have always acted wild, but never have these antics been so celebrated on TV. So of course kids take it as a cue. Like here on the Strip in Panama Beach, Florida, where high schoolers carry on in public, as if they were on some MTV soundstage. Who is mirroring whom? Real life and TV life have begun to blur. Is the media really reflecting the world of kids, or is it the other way around? The answer is increasingly hard to make out. I'll never forget the moment that
All right, I paused it because this moment he's about to describe, I think, is really important. But I wanted to emphasize or sort of highlight this like mirror reflecting reality, like where people do like this whole like, oh, it's just reflecting. Well, it's like base superstructure, right? The superstructure is just a reflection of the base of the mode and relations of production. And what he's about to get to is like this sort of feedback loop that this creates. And I know that Anne has to run out of here in a second. And so I'm going to let... Oh, what?
Oh, I don't have to go anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say before you do, or did, she was going to go. So I was going to be like, you got to at least say something right after like this segment right here, because I don't know how much you want to relate it to your own life or just your students or whatever, but like as a woman who has grown up in the sort of do-it-yourself version of this mirroring feedback, especially for the pressures that are put on the midriff girl. Yeah, I definitely think you'll probably have something to say. So I just wanted to highlight this part right here. I'm going to skip back slightly to the part where he's saying the thing about the mirror and reflecting, and then we'll let it go from there.
Real life and TV life have begun to blur. Is the media really reflecting the world of kids, or is it the other way around? The answer is increasingly hard to make out. I'll never forget the moment that 13-year-old Barbara and her friends spotted our crew during a party between their auditions. They appeared to be dancing for us, for our camera, as if to sell back to us, the media, what we had sold to them. And that's when it hit me. It's a giant feedback loop. The media watches kids and then sells them an image of themselves. Then kids watch those images and aspire to be that mook or midriff in the TV set. And the media is there watching them do that in order to craft new images for them and so on. Is there any way to escape the feedback loop? These kids believe they have. Downtown Detroit on Halloween night.
Back for juggalos!
A few thousand mostly white young men have gathered to hear a concert.
All right, so the whole thing on juggalos, and then it'll bring it back into how that sound or that sort of rage got captured, and it'll use Limp Bizkit, and that'll give us a sort of springboard to talk about hardcore and everything like that as well, because not all of these counter spin-offs or genres are created equal. But anyway, and I don't know if you had anything you wanted to talk about in concerning the iPad generation and that sort of that feedback loop of trying to mirror reality, but the reality that you're mirroring is like this sort of naive adolescent like, I don't know, impulse to be liked, right?
Yeah, I don't really know what your question is, but just like general thoughts about that, I guess, is like, I don't know. I feel like that that was it. Like girl, like we know how it works, we know how it functions. Girls especially just like are buying into the trends so much to the point where yeah, 18-year-olds are getting Botox, and then their favorite influencers are literally like, come get Botox with me today. And so it's a lot of like aspiring to be these people that they're constantly seeing, but that goes with any sort of like niche culture, any sort of trend, and now it's become even easier to consume, to be a consumer and participate by consuming, because you can buy the cute cheap clothes on Shein, and you can buy the products on Temu. um so yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I figured because you've kind of talked about it in our CMT stuff before, and so yeah, that's good.
Concert by their favorite hometown band, Insane Clown Posse. ICP helped found a musical genre called rap metal or rage rock, which has created a stir across the country for its shock lyrics and ridicule of women and gays.
Yeah! That's right, motherfucker! Psychopathic bitch! Yeah! Who's going titty fucking? We's going titty fucking! Who's going titty fucking? We's going titty hunting! Who's going titty fucking? We's going titty hunting! Count a motherfucking titty out! Right!
Subcultures like this are increasingly rare in America, a true underground, where kids feel spurned by mainstream culture and like it.
A lot of people seem to sense like anger coming off Juggalos because there's a lot of like middle finger stuff. I mean, who's the middle finger to?
The middle finger is to everybody who doesn't understand what we're doing. It's to the world.
To the mainstream.
It's people who don't understand. To people like these people who drive by honking their horns, drive by laughing at us. We don't care, and that's who the middle fingers and the fuck yous are for.
Fuck, I mean, to hell with society, you know? I mean, we worry about society and what they think. They control what goes on in our bedroom, you know, what we dress like, what our hair color is. Why let it control it here? This is where we have fun.
Rock music has always channeled rebellion, but where it used to be directed against parents, teachers, or the government, today it is directed against slick commercialism itself, against MTV. These fans feel loyalty to this band and this music because they experience it as their own. It hasn't been processed by corporations, digested into popular culture, and sold back to them at the mall.
Everybody that likes our music feels a super connection. That's why all those juggalos here, they feel so connected to it because it's exclusively theirs. See, when something's on the radio, it's for everybody. You know what I mean? It's everybody's song. Oh, this is my song. That ain't your song. It's on the radio. It's everybody's song. But to listen to
Nance, why you laughing so hard?
Look, man. There's this like manufactured cool, right? That's what these people are selling. These people that Rushkoff is shining light on. Who is it? Dee Dee Gordon and her ilk. They're selling this manufactured version of cool. And they're aping people who are like actually cool. And who are the people that are seen as actually cool? They're the people who do their own thing. But they're also people who don't do too much. They're people who don't blow the spot up. So this like manufactured counterfeit cool that they're selling, it's always going to be cheesy. Earlier we were like Sprite. The Sprite party's whack. The Sprite party looks cheesy as fuck. Of course it is, because they're imitating something that they don't really understand, because it's not a real thing. It's always this kind of intersubjective, like, oh, I kind of like the way that person over there carries themselves. And there's always this air of detachment. Like the cool person is almost always the person who's just like, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just doing my thing. Like I'm not overly concerned with how other people are going to receive me. I'm kind of just doing my thing. But also, I'm not doing too much. I'm not like intentionally, conspicuously going against the grain. I'm just doing my thing. I'm keeping my head down. I'm staying in my lane. I'm not blowing up the spot. I'm not a hot boy. So they always fail. They always fumble. It's always cheesy. But in reaction to and in rebellion against that manufactured cheesy cool, you get these people who try to signal like, I don't give a shit about the mainstream. I'm going to do my own thing. And so you wind up with motherfuckers who paint their fucking faces and run around and talk about shitty soda. And they're like, this is actually cool. Like, it's so fucking whack, dude. Yeah. Like, and I don't know, man. Like, just fucking do whatever it is you want to do. And like, don't take it to the extreme. Don't blow up the spot. Like, the other day, we were joking about like being theory nerds and like the Dungeons and Dragons theory type shit. And like Dungeons and Dragons people can be really nerdy because they never go outside, but they can also be cool as fuck because they're like passionate about something and they're like skilled. And they have social skills, because to play D&D, you actually have to know how to like exist in group dynamics and be a cool person. But those D&D people who are actually cool, like, aren't seen as D&D people, because like the memes surrounding the D&D people are the people who are in the basement who like they've never touched a woman, or you know, they've never touched a person of the opposite gender. They've never had real social interaction. So they get memed on. And like the ICP guys, like, you guys are just fucking nerds. And that would be okay if you didn't like, I don't know. Like, it's so silly. It's so goofy. And it's like, dude, come on. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just be something that approaches normal.
I really liked how after some point in the metalcore scene, people stopped dressing up for shows and started just wearing kind of like normal shorts and normal shoes and maybe a hoodie, right? Like the whole, like, it's just like people stopped doing crazy hair stuff. People stopped, and then you see, you know, a person's like never really been to a concert before when you see them like with like, I don't know, gobs of eyeshadow and eyeliner, and they did their hair all crazy, like it's MySpace days, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're trying to do the scene kid thing, and it's like cool. But the point is like the costume that says I don't care about like the way that I'm supposed to be normal. It's a costume, and there's nothing that shows that you care more than putting in that much work to show that you don't care.
So much effort.
It
takes so long to put on the makeup.
It's so obvious to everybody that you do care. So just, you know, we get it, you know, but, and it's, And the thing is like juggalos are like these really sweet people. They're like these really sweet people. Same with gothic kids. They're very sweet people
Yes.
a lot of the time. And a lot of times they've been bullied and they've been outcasted, and now they're making their little identity about it. And it's like you feel kind of bad for them, and they're kind of like sweet kids, and you just want to give them a hug or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, come on now. And so I don't know. I know plenty of former emo kids and goth kids and shit like that. And of course, because if you do anything political, then it's almost everybody on the left is just like an X-scene kid in some sense. And so, you know, it's a thing. So,
yeah, but like, I just want them all to get it through their head that that effort, like it's obvious that you're expending so much effort to look like you're not trying. And it's silly and it is sad. And it tugs at my heartstrings, dude. Because they are usually sweet people.
Effort expended to appear like you're not trying when other people can see that you're clearly trying is, no matter what you do, never going to be cool.
Not fucking cool.
But also juggalos don't want to be cool, so I guess it kind of works out for them anyway, you know?
What a catch-22, man.
It works out for them, you know? Woot woot.
ICP, you feel like you're the only one that knows about it.
Man, fuck that bitch!
These are the
And honestly, if it wasn't for them, would we have City Morgue today? No. So good job,
No.
ICP.
and the Suicide Boys for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And by the way, they still have huge concerts. Like kids show up for that shit. That's not on MTV, you know? So it's like people are still trying. They're still trying to offend their parents, and it's working to some extent, you know?
willing to go to ensure the authenticity of their own scene. It's the front line of teen cultural resistance, become so crude, so intolerable, and break so many rules that you become indigestible. Rage rock is a double dog dare to the mainstream marketing machine. Just try to market this. And the thing is, that's exactly what they've done. Consider the engineered rise of Limp Bizkit. Remember them? It turns out that the nastiest expressions of youth culture are manna to an industry ravenous for anything authentic to sell. Bizkit is a rage rock band that leaves critics cold, but ignites fans with incendiary lyrics. America first got to know them at Woodstock '99, rage rock's coming out party as covered by MTV.
It's just one of those days!
The heat burned on and conditions grew more intolerable. And for some angry concertgoers, songs like Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff became a mantra.
Time to reach deep down inside. Take all that negative energy and let that out of your system. Like a train song, I skid your ass wrong. And then my day keeps going this way, I just might break your face tonight. Give me some break.
How does a band like them become superstars? Follow this well-tested recipe. Always on the lookout for the rawest of raw material, Jimmy Iovine, the enormously successful head of Interscope Records, finds a controversial band and packages them for the mainstream, all the while claiming he's just responding to demand.
There's no way to stop a movement in popular culture. There's just no way to stop it. It's going to happen with or without you. There's absolutely no way to stop that train.
But when an Oregon radio station shied away from the band's crass lyrics, Interscope paid them to play one of Bizkit's songs 50 times.
Of course they're from
Then
fucking
Interscope
Oregon.
funded Bizkit's first video, which was premiered on MTV's Nod to Democracy, Total Request Live.
I mean, I guess you could say Total Request Live is democratic in the way that, you know, this year's election was democratic. The candidates, the field of candidates is very small. And there are organizations behind them, not unlike the Democratic and Republican parties, who are deciding which candidates get promoted. So, in other words, you can't just be, you know, Joe Fabulous, who's releasing your little indie record and get on Total Request Live.
Having declared them worthy of a slot on TRL, MTV now also had a stake in making Limp Bizkit stars. The network put the band on their spring break special.
When Spring Break aired, you could see a sales change the following week. And that's the kind of reaction that a killer performance at Spring Break gives.
1 part authentic rage, 2 parts marketing, sprinkle with cash, and place in a preheated oven called Woodstock 99. The night after Bizkit's performance, the festival erupted in flames. The band's goading of the crowd was blamed, perhaps unfairly, for the mayhem which ensued. By the time the smoke had cleared, 4 young women reported being raped. But the band had made the big time. Bizkit's lead singer became a senior vice president at Interscope Records, and the band's relationship with MTV had become so cozy that they put a picture of executive Dave Cerulnik in their album liner notes and made casual drop-ins at their old stomping grounds, TRL.
I just happened to be in Times Square. TRL was going on. I was like, whoa, what time is it?
I was using my little two-way that day, and I got right before the show started.
Two-wayed Carson. He said, come on up.
So when it came time to release a new album, Bizkit naturally turned to their friends at TRL to help sell it. And sell it did, faster than any rock album in history.
This is kind of an important moment, you guys being on TRL. At some point today, you know, it's weird to say millions of kids will go out and buy this record.
And thus a band is made. Of course, it's impossible to know what would have happened to Limp Bizkit and Rage Rock were MTV and Interscope Records not behind them.
Hey, what's up? We're Limp Bizkit, and you're watching TRL if you didn't notice already.
Perhaps they would have made it to the top on their own merits. But that's just the point. No one can ever know, once MTV and Interscope Records have placed their bets. The success of Limp Bizkit and Rage Rock was all but preordained. The cool hunt ends here, with Teen Rebellion itself becoming just another product.
Often, there's a kind of official and systematic rebelliousness that's reflected in media products pitched at kids. It's part of the official rock video worldview. It's part of the official advertising worldview that your parents are creeps, teachers are nerds and idiots, authority figures are laughable. Nobody can really understand kids except the corporate sponsor. That huge authority has, interestingly enough, emerged as the sort of tacit superhero of consumer culture. That's the coolest entity of all.
So is there anywhere the commercial machine won't go? Is it leaving any room for kids to create a culture of their own? Do they even have anything that's theirs alone? All eyes are on our kids. They know they're being watched. But what or whom can they look to themselves? And what if they turn and fight? The battle itself is sponsored, packaged, and sold right back to them. Oh, and by the way, those rebels in clown makeup from Detroit, they've signed with a major label, produced some slick music videos, even got themselves on World Championship Wrestling. And lo and behold, their latest album hit number 20 on the charts. Welcome to the machine.
We did it!
Next time on Frontline, Nicholas can't sit still. Alex is depressed.
If I get rid of the ADD, I get rid of
Noel can't concentrate.
fifth grade. It's like when it all crashed.
Robin is rebellious.
We tried
Good job,
rhythm
everybody.
and silence.
So, yeah, and hit the little celebrate emoji I see. People in the chat talking about bands back then. APCH said new metal. And I said Limp Bizkit, POD, Korn, Godsmack, Linkin Park. That was right when I started listening to heavy stuff on the radio. It was all those guys. Evan said, I was a huge Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, and Skinny Puppy kid myself. Word Solowski says, Dead Kennedy. Ian says, Rammstein. Du hast mich.
Dude, Dead Kennedys and Rammstein both go fucking hard. Fuck yeah. I mean, honestly, all that shit's dope. Like all that shit, I've listened to all of it. Marilyn Manson, like, made really good music. Nine Inch Nails, they're fucking great musicians. They're super duper talented. Like, back when I was a young warthog, like we were kind of overinvested in the whole punk rock, hardcore kid identity thing, and so I couldn't listen to other shit. I couldn't listen to things that like weren't punk, even though I wanted to. We used to like
I'm sorry.
But like we would fight metalheads. Like we would go to hardcore shows, and like if metalheads showed up, like we would fight them.
Yeah.
And we were stupid little kids. But all of it was fucking manufactured. And I still believe in hardcore. Like there's still something about hardcore that I think resists, because like the heroes of hardcore, Refused, Minor Threat, like it really was about getting outside of the machine and doing it for yourself, like paying for your own fucking tour, not relying on a label. So I still believe in it, but also I am aware that like my identity is tied up in that. So I can't, like, I'm not a trustworthy like adjudicator.
Right.
Cause I'll like hardcore DIY till the day I die. I'll die on that hill. Because there was a Hatebreed t-shirt in the fucking pit right there. Like Hatebreed is one of the worst fucking bands ever, because they were this manufactured fucking tough guy beat down hardcore bullshit that wasn't from the scene. They didn't understand the scene, but they took the scene by storm, and they made good music, but it was all fake.
Yeah, man. I have big mixed feelings too. Oh, look at that. Adam Atkins is in the chat. What's up, man? Howdy. Call Me Cheesecake says, I enjoyed that.
Me too.
Adam said, I didn't expect to see ICP when I clicked the Theory Underground stream. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
I didn't expect to see Adam Atkins when I clicked the Theory Underground chat. But I guess I'll just say a couple of things. I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts on this. We'll also be closing out relatively soon. But my thoughts on hardcore, it's like, look, people do need positive outlets for their pent-up aggression. They literally played that clip of Limp Bizkit, and I have no love for Limp Bizkit. Never have. I've only ever, I used to always say the one good thing he did was discover Stained. But, cause you know, there's just some sentimental songs on like one of their first albums that really did something for me at one point. But it's all cope, man. It's all cope. Stained is cope. Limp Bizkit though, like that clip of him saying, Fred Durst saying, you know, take that pent up aggression and let it go here. It's like, yeah, man, like that's so much a thing still with bands like Knocked Loose, or you go back to like bands like Suicide Silence or any of these kind of bands, like absolutely. But it's a thing. It's a thing that arguably people need at a certain stage of their life. Arguably. Now, is it the full story? Is it? No, there's other ways to do it. There's other ways to get your pent up aggression out, but it does need to be channeled. It does need to be harnessed. It does need legitimate outlets. And the nice thing about these guys right here, they don't have to wear any face masks or face paint or or anything. Like you'll notice like where the scene's at today is like people pretty much just dress up in like whatever. They don't really give a shit. And it's just like there's a lot of love in these places. There's a lot of love because it's not just like, oh, we're all outcasts. No, I think people are kind of over that too. It's just like, no, man, like people get like this basic idea that that testosterone needs somewhere to go. So, you know, we just wanted to say, if anything, that part of it's valid. And whenever these PBS style, NPR style, progressive liberal people like want to talk shit about Woodstock, the 1990s version, and how it was so corporate and masculinist, they always focus on like, oh, look, it was like angry guys. And it's like, yeah, that was not the biggest problem with it. It was definitely attracting a certain variant of some angry guys that suck, but they're conflating frat bros with these guys. And there is, I think, an actual difference between these things. And that's all I'll say about that. I am also biased, though, so who fucking knows? Yeah.
I got to shout out, what is it, Locked Shut? New hardcore band. That's that video I sent you where the dudes are wearing the North Face parkas.
Oh, it's been a while.
I think if anyone out there is curious about the spirit of hardcore here in the year 2024, check out Locked Shut. You can find them on YouTube. The song's called Toothache. Song goes hard, but they look like they have their shit together and they're wearing matching outfits. They're kind of taking the piss out of the scene. They're like, look, we're making hard music, but we're not overly serious guys.
It's good that they're not
hardcore
too
scenes
serious.
trigger me because they're cancelly as fuck. Moopy, yeah, that's true. There does seem to be a lot of like young people who are
I don't know, man.
disenfranchised and disgruntled. And
Are they actually cancelly though? I don't know. I've had my eye on this scene for a fucking long time, and it's like that is not. I don't know. Maybe like
I know.
Here's the thing. The good old days did get kind of ruined by this sort of split in the scene between people who were trying to do social justice as like their thing, and they thought that it just, if you do it in the pit or you do it like there at the venue, like that's where it's at, then you're making social change. And then people who are like, man, fuck that shit. What are you talking about? What is this? Get it out of here. But there's still nice little pockets where people kind of are able to just do their thing. So
I think that's very valid criticism of like punk in general, or like the general punk scene.
Yeah.
One thing that really bums me out about like the folk punk scene, I love folk punk music, but that is like like everyone is just trying to cancel you. Like every folk punk show, there's always like, oh, this guy's the worst person in the world because, you know, he stepped on someone's shoe and didn't apologize because he's racist. I don't know. Like, but yeah, I think in like young youth movement scenes, they do tend to get over cancelly because they're young people and they're disgruntled, they're disenfranchised, and they've been hoodwinked by the media machine that says like, yeah, it is all about representation and equality, and we have to be horizontalists. And if someone doesn't conform to this, then they're a bad person, and you should go ahead and cancel them. And it's so fucking weird. It's supposed to be this scene that does constructively express this pent-up energy. There is aggression. Would you like me to go to a show and dance and mosh? Or would you like me to like repress that shit and keep it pent up? And then when I'm a 40-year-old alcoholic father, I snap and I beat the shit out of my kids or my, you know, partner or whatever. Like that shit does happen. And that's a weak, probably, you know, straw man argument, but it's also true. Like, give us an opportunity to pro-socially express our anger because we're fucking angry, and saying nice words isn't going to change that. Structural change is the only thing that will change that. And you can't have your structural change by changing the words that you use.
Yeah, and it's not going to come from your little aesthetic, your niche aesthetic boutique store bullshit. Now, I wanted to shout out a couple great comments here. Graham Lean said there's a lot of good hardcore out right now. Yeah, 100%. Wait, not that relevant, but it's mad how U.S. hardcore is wrapped up in gang violence. Interesting. There's definitely always been like the crew thing, right? Like there's always there's always these crews of guys, and I don't like it, man. I don't like that shit. Never did. I watched like 20 guys beat the shit out of somebody one time. I just tried to avoid the shows that they go to, right? And I was pretty successful at avoiding the shows that they go to. Like, and the guy who got the shit kicked out of him by the 20 guys, it's like because like some guy bumps him and so he pushes that guy. You shouldn't have pushed that guy. He's got 20 friends and they're all wearing jerseys. That's how you know. Yeah.
Friends stand united.
Yeah, dude.
FSU.
No, that was FSU. That was literally Spokane FSU. Yeah. 100%.
Yep. Yeah, FSU fucking ruined our scene in Tempe too.
Yeah, dude. No, they like to crowd kill. They suck. Very much so. Yes, it's a ritual, a function, mostly not rebelling. Has anyone read Democracy Incorporated by Volin? Is that Richard Volin? Call Me Cheesecake? The same one who wrote Heidegger and Ruins? For real? Or is that different? It sounds like a different person.
No, it might be the same one, dude. Because did he do Derrida as well?
And you know what? That dude was very into democracy. Anyway, Graham says it becomes a pissing contest. People climbing little social hierarchies within scenes. Yeah. Evan says music gives you style, transgression, and identity. Gender does all those things too, but with the risk of a rabbit hole to medicalization. Yeah, man. No, that's for me that is like the problem. That is the problem. It's like I feel like anyone who wants to do genderqueer stuff today has a social responsibility to separate themselves from the medicalization side of it, and then you're fine. You do you. But if you want to blur the lines there, I'm sorry. It's bad. It's bad. Ian says, do jujitsu. Dude, 100%. Actually, jujitsu is one of the most pro-social ways of getting that out of your system. I mean, obviously Muay Thai or kickboxing but really jujitsu really is. It's all the rage these days and for good reason. Now, I really like violence and nature and nurture are like the three things that we're cut off from. The three things you can't get from your screen. The three things you can't get from your job. And you need playful, constructive outlets for pent-up aggression and some kind of brush up with risk and violence. And jiu-jitsu sets up the kind of structure to harness that. It's a good outlet for all of that. But also just like getting out into nature is for real an actual good thing. And nurture, I don't know what to tell you all. Go make babies. Like, go make babies. But if you can't do that, at least get a kitten or a puppy.
Or both.
Get a puppy, a kitten, and a baby.
Do them all.
Adam says, oh, by the way, funniest thing. One time had on Malcolm and Simone Collins.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yep.
I feel personally responsible because I turned him on to one of their books. And he's like, I got to talk to these people. And I was thinking like, dude, if he actually had them on his channel, that'd be crazy. Then he did. And it's like his chat is full of hate, like the comment section. Because, you know, he's a leftist. He's making content for leftists. And so like Malcolm and Simone are just like not leftists. And they're like known for being the crazy pro-natalist eugenics couple. And that's not fair. They're not crazy. but they are pronatalists, and
they're not crazy.
yeah, I mean, they're on some shit. Like they're on their own shit. They definitely bracket out a lot of the things that leftists take seriously, or they bracket out a lot of it. They just don't have a lot of the assumptions in place that someone in One Dime's audience would likely have. But that's why they're generative. That's why they're generative to think with, you know, to engage with, and it's a worthwhile conversation. Everyone go check it out. It's on One Dime Radio. There's 2 channels. Tony's got the One Dime Radio podcast. That's where you want to check out the conversation with the Collins. We had one half of the Collins on for an M-Stew one time. It was Malcolm, not Simone. Maybe someday we'll talk to both of them. Yeah, they're like secular Calvinist pronatalist people. But it's a fascinating conversation. And,
it is.
I don't know what got me talking about that. Fuck if I know.
Get your baby, have a baby, and then get your baby a puppy, and then get that puppy a kitten. Yeah. That was
the puppy needs a kitten. Yeah. And don't let Nance hang out with the kitten when it's little, because it might imprint on him.
Apparently I'll steal it, and I wasn't trying to steal. So I don't care for cats. I genuinely don't. They make me sneeze, and I've not had great experiences with them. So I wasn't super excited to tour the country with the kitty, but I was down. And it turns out, you know, I fell in love with Ryan, and not in a weird way, in a totally platonic way. But Ryan's the homie, dude. I love Ryan. And he reciprocates.
100%. Graham Lean actually was thinking of FSU as well. So Graham's been around.
Dude, they suck, dude.
Anne said that Nance is way more like a cat than a dog. Well, that's the thing, is like Ryan's a lot more like Nance than any of my other cats. That's the thing. I think that Nance and Ryan are like this, like they're soul bonded or some shit.
Maybe we're like brothers separated at birth, dude.
Ooh.
No, right. Ryan is dope though, but it comes down to parenting. Ryan is such a cool cat because you guys parented him well. And that's why I dislike the majority of other cats I've met in the world, because they had bad parents. It's kind of funny. Like, doesn't it work for people that way too? Up to a point. You know, when we become adults, it's time to take some responsibility. But there is this thing called bad parenting, and it's ruining the fucking world. Hey, dude, that meme, hell yeah.
If you talk about personal responsibility, you're a fascist. What is this?
It's a meme I sent you the other day.
Oh, it's not from today. I just saw it in the chat, so I popped it up.
No, that's from, if you look at it, we're stuck. You know, you can just do stuff like that. That goes back to our conversation with pushing the medium.
Genius. I've never seen the 3-dimensional version of the bell curve meme.
Yeah, dude.
With this contorted field. So I like the format. I'm going to have to think about that format. I like the Jedi Wojak on both sides. You can just do stuff.
You can just do stuff. So this documentary was really good. Thank you for recommending it to me. Thank you for watching it with me. Like I told you, like, yeah, dude, I want to do this. We should do something. So I'm happy we did. And there's problems with it. Like I think they're missing a lot of historical context. I think they're missing some material context, going back to this thing where they're just, oh, it's just male toxicity and this and that. Like, no, that's a valid thing that we need to figure out something to do with it. Because if we don't, it finds its own way. It's like Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Well, so does this violence and aggression and shit. But all in all, I think it's great. I'm starting to write about it. I think it needs to be connected to Bernays and kind of propaganda and how it's been going all along. I think it needs to be connected to Weber and kind of the creation of new demands and this and that. I think there's a lot of interplay with Baudrillard and reflection and simulation and this and that. But I think it was great, and I hope it's super generative for the couple dozen people who watched it with us.
Yeah, shout out.
Thank you, by the way, to like that's dope that you guys watch this shit with us.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of just like a normie documentary. It's like a standard corporate media and advertising bad thing, but I think it's like these are a really good sort of, for us, sort of like a good reference point, I think. And having the language of the moop versus the mid riff is useful. And we'll tie this all into Edward Bernays in a minute. I do want to hear Anne's thoughts as a sociologist. That's kind of why I wanted to make sure that the time worked for her. Doing the time when we did made it so it wouldn't work for some of our European friends who might have joined us otherwise. Oh, well, hopefully they get to watch this later. But, Anne and I, we've been doing critical media theory. AO has been doing CMT with us all. And so, we're all thinking about it from that perspective. And so it's like, at face value, it's a good documentary. But when you have the extra research, it's even better because you're bringing some extra concepts to the situation. And Bernays. And then I'll want to talk a little bit more about the why do I keep wanting to say that wrong? But the DIY sort of component of this. And I guess the short version just for now is that, it's not just that we've replaced Gordon and Lee and their team of correspondents, rendering them like not necessary, right? Like the platforms and the way we sell ourselves to the platforms made it so Gordon and Lee and the correspondents aren't necessary to do that market research. So it's like, it's sort of like in the same way that you check out your own groceries at the Winco, It's like you are doing that market research for Viacom and all these other people. But also, I want to talk about what else we're also doing DIY. We're also doing the 12-year-old sex object being recruited by the MTV guy. Like that's DIY as well now. But what else is DIY? HR. And that's what wokeness is that that's been made DIY. So, I mean, that's something I just really want to think about a lot. It's like, not only do we all market our own ideas of cool, and then that, insofar as that's either successful or not, like that information is all going to be very valuable to these companies. Not only do we have to kind of sell ourselves and also promote ourselves, but also like the HR function, which is when people are talking about like the cancel happy people, the people who are quick to cancel in the music scene. It's like, yeah, well, when punk kind of had this idea of like DIY accountability and anarchist, accountability, and it's like, well, that shit that got somehow along the way integrated into human resources, rationale, and now it's like that's something that we do ourselves. That's like, it's like on tour having people say, "Oh, you should have thanked us for being vulnerable." It's like, yeah, that is crazy to me. Like we're Theory Underground. We're like these like post-hardcore, post-Marxist guys who hate the HR environment and the overproduced, focus grouped bullshit from the university. And then we have people coming to underground events wanting us to somehow like check those boxes. It's like, know your fucking audience, I guess. Like, I mean, and I it's the other way around. It's the other way around. Know the kind of show you're going to, I guess, So,
who said it? Oswald Spangler in the chat said DEIY. And I think that was because you kind of fumbled DIY because you were thinking DEI. But
100%.
DEIY is perfect. We're doing DIY DEI.
Yeah.
And there's this like immense pressure from above. It's hilarious. Thank you, Oswald, for catching that slip. It fits perfect.
Dude, I want a shirt that says DEIY.
DEIY or die.
Yeah. Yeah. Good shit, everybody. Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Ann or Nance?
I do want to, I guess, just to reiterate, like the connections to like cancel culture and fitting into, the general peer, like obeying the kind of super egoic command, like you must enjoy, you must do this, you must be liberated, if you don't take part in this liberation I'm giving you, then you're a horrible person and then I'm going to cancel you and shit. And like this manufactured youth movement and coolness, and I don't know, man. It's very, I think, difficult to talk about youth and youth culture and emancipation and stuff, at least for me, because I always do kind of return to this rosy-eyed, idealistic, young, like anarchist person who like believed in the future and believed in freedom. But it was always a sham. Like just like a couple years ago, there was that whole birds aren't real thing. Like emancipatory politics also aren't real. It's like it's always been this manufactured thing that comes down from on high. Okay, we won't say always, and we don't have to go back to the beginning of time, but starting with the managerial revolution, the kind of development of the PMC and recognition economies and stuff like that, like the way value and worth and productivity have changed in the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century. Like these things are different. Material conditions are different. Production is different. And the DEI shit is a huge, like, I don't know, thorn in our side, because it does matter. It is important to not be a horrible, shitty person. But taking like the interpersonal and replacing global large scale emancipation with like interpersonal relations is a dead end. But it's easy to do because it's compelling. Like it tugs at our heartstrings. Yeah.
I'll just jump in to close out and say, like, when I first heard the title of this, Manufacturing Coolness, it's like I couldn't help but think about manufacturing consent. And so, yeah, I think like where this documentary goes right is kind of exposing a more mainstream audience to like the fact that they are constantly being advertised to and are just seen as a market demographic. But then any sort of like historical information or analysis, or the fact that like, well, this has been going on, like this isn't new, is missing, but that doesn't necessarily make it weaker. It's just like, we know that's our context that we can bring in. But yeah, it's all fake. Like it's all fake. It's all fake today. Like I feel weird being back on a college campus with, you know, a bunch of students and girls who it's like, yes, I'm older than them, but I don't feel that much older than them. And so there always is that like comparing. It's like I go to the rec center on campus and it's like every single girl is wearing the same thing. And then I'm wearing like yoga pants literally from 8th grade and like a baggy running t-shirt. And so you can't help but feel like, huh, weird. Like everyone else is the same. And we know that that's not true because they're all unique individuals, but just with how much time students are spending on their devices, they can't help but be like that's all that's on their horizon of possibilities. They can't meaningfully cultivate their identities in other areas of life with actual time energy, so they find cute trends that they like and then they buy stuff. They listen to the music that makes them happy and they get involved in these like internet niches. And so it's like it's been interesting this last couple weeks, especially with my students. I've been talking about like consumer culture and the media, and I had a whole class today just talking about like some sociological concerns and considerations with the media, with everything from like talking about trends and social contagions to like talking about pornography and pedophilia rings. Like we talked about it all. And so we'll do these classes where we're talking about the media, and I have this like no tech policy in my classroom, and then they'll finish their discussions at their table and just instantly whip their phones out. And it's like, am I actually getting through to you though? Like I don't actually know what to do about that issue. Like you can make people aware all we want with documentaries like this or teaching them about it, and then it's they're just gonna do it. So anyways, that's my closing contribution.
That's really good, Anne. Thank you. Yeah, and I guess I want to in close say something still about this, and I'll springboard off of this idea. Like, does it do anything to talk about it? Like for these students, are you really getting through to them? And I just want to like say, like, I think that like it's kind of like AI, right? Like so many of these Catrone simps in that comment section from the last video that went up with Catrone, like they took the sort of position that Nance and Mikey have about AI to be the most simplistic, stupid position possible. They're not really thinking about what we're getting at or why I was playing devil's advocate the way I was. And they're just like, oh, children. Oh. Like they just can't take it seriously. And I think there's something similar with marketing and advertising because we are saturated in it, but also everyone's kind of everyone's like, oh, I don't really take advertising seriously. And it's like, yeah, you don't. But what you're not thinking about is what you can't see. And the way that your horizon of possibilities has been foreclosed because all the money that goes into social science today is going into that. And all of these amazing technologies that we sort of have at our disposal are going towards that. Instead of helping us discover and cultivate our higher human, creative, and communicative capacities, all of this is going in the way that it's going. And then people think, oh yeah, well, my phone listens to me and then recommends me the thing. Ooh. And that's what they think about advertising. And it's just like, no, your entire identity is a product of this system. And your entire future that you take seriously in terms of what you think is possible and not possible is structured through this system that is a part of, or maybe is the feedback loop that was being talked about at one part of this documentary, where it is this mirror to reality. No, it's not. It's not just a reflection. That it's kind of like if you help people only see certain things, then those things are going to compound in a sort of sense. So like, I mean, like the easiest example would be like a racial stereotype or something. Well, this is, in a sort of sense, what marketing does to us with our desires. Like we have, like, desire is like this malleable thing. It has a lot of possibilities. And the truth of our desire and the truth of who we really are is, there's never a full truth to it, right? People take something to be the full truth and the last sort of word on the matter, when we don't even know, man, like what living in a reality would be like, where we have something kind of like this tech, but not all science, technology, engineering, math directed towards the surveillance state and marketing, right? So, you know, it's like, I'm not complaining about the fact that we've built ourselves a little fort, you know, in the CIA's lobby, and that we are, you know, like DIY feds, you know, like I'm totally, like, they don't have to pay us. We'll just do it, you know. People, there's also a bunch of people in one of the other Catrone videos talk about, why don't you guys just get the actual job and take money from them, you know, because we're critical of this anti-imperialism cope. And so it's like, yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I don't believe that we're gonna, I'm not like one of these Trump guys who thinks that you can like overthrow the deep state, but that's what these Rockhillian people are all about. That's what these Tut bros are all about. Like, they think that you can overthrow the deep state. And I'm just like, guys, I don't believe it. I think we're more fucked. I think we're more fucked than they do. But also I think that like coming to terms with that will help us figure something out, and that there are real possibilities out there for large scale structural change. And does talking about documentaries or like talking about all this stuff with our students actually get us there? I don't know. But I guess the big thing I want to point out is just that, yeah, when people think, oh yeah, ads everywhere and Sprite funds things, that's the end of the thought. But that should be the very beginning. There's so much more. And Edward Bernays being in the title of this, I think it's just important to point out that like the professional managerial class and the principles of scientific management as an actual response to working class organizing that was more costly, but also got more buy-in from people in terms of buying into the system, right? And selling people inherent transgression, whether it's anti-imperialist or punk or what have you. It was a genius move. I'm not saying that we can just go, oh, it's made up, it's socially constructed, therefore let's go on and do the next thing. I don't know. But yeah, we do have to tarry with Baudrillard, right? The maps that we have do not match the territory. And insofar as they might get something right every once in a while, yeah, broken clocks, you know, twice a day, the whole thing. And also, like, you can have a map that's accurate for this, that, and the other purpose. Maybe it shows you where the fire hydrants and bus stops in a city are. But if that's not what you're looking for with the map, well, that's not going to help you. And if the map that you're using to navigate reality was drafted up by somebody who was looking for fire hydrants 200 years ago, like, it might have something right sometimes. But like, there's these people who are like, it's got to figure it out, man. Dialectical and historical materialism, man. Based. We've got all the answers. And it's like, wow, it's kind of crazy how much anybody who wants to seriously think about the situation has been captured by that. And it's also crazy how much my audience overlaps with those audiences, and how I've got so many people who love TU and love to sort of like think that they're a TU enjoyer, yet at the same time, they spend so much time watching the content of people who think that we're feds versus also people who think that we're so left, we can't even have a real conversation with them. Like we literally get it from both ends. Like on the one side, like Niederhauser fans, you know, it's like, yeah, he won't talk to us because we're too Marxist. And then on the other side, you know, Tut Bros, and it's like, or the Rock Hill guys. I'm not saying they won't talk to us, but I'm just saying like there's this like, oh yeah, you guys are feds. You guys are like doing the work for the CIA. And it's like, dude, the CIA won. Did you not get the memo? That's the point. Anyway, so
they can't acknowledge the memo because then they would have to find a new, I don't know, I don't want to say racket, because there's enjoyment, there's, you know, gratification, your identity's tied up in it, but also for a fair amount of these people, it is like an economic proposition. They make a living like perpetuating this game that ultimately amounts to, you know, fake revolution. So there's like people above who are like invested in like their survival depends on not really accomplishing anything. And then there's people below who look up to those people and like listen to them, and they're like, they get a sense of self from participating in the role play. Like people are invested in maintaining this back and forth seesaw. And it sucks because ultimately the masses lose out. Like a lot of, you know, great, huge-hearted people get carried away, and they're ultimately the ones who suffer.
I didn't know that Dangerous Maybe was in the chat.
Yeah, he showed up several minutes ago.
I don't know if anybody noticed the trailer for this stream. Now you won't be able to see it because it's only there when the stream is scheduled. But it had like this, it had this moment of Mikey like looking, like moving, but that was actually a still image that I animated using AI. And you make sure to check out the trailer on the next stream you see scheduled. Not the M-Stew trailer, but just any other regular stream. You'll see, I also got Marks doing the peace sign. There's some cool shit I've been playing around with AI. Anyway, it's good to see you, Mikey. I think you're going to enjoy this one for sure. This is like right up your alley because it's all, I mean, really it lays a nice sort of field of reference points for talking about Baudrillard. But also it's like the 90s. So much of this stuff is like part of your culture as well. And so, yeah. But, lots of cool shit. Lots of cool shit in the chat here, guys. Good to see you, Zephyr, a Voxel. And ultimately, thank you, everybody, for being here. This has been a great time. We're about to close this thing out. We're not about to. We're just going to do it. We're done. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Smash like and watch the PSA and become a TU subscriber ASAP so that we can do this full time. All right, peace.
We cannot do direct revolution, but the only way to lay the foundation for it is to do what you are doing to move the underground. It's a theoretically correct title.
Welcome to Theory Underground, a place for workers with earbuds who are tired of letting others read and think on their behalf, slipstreaming our way into an understanding of the situation that short-circuits the deadlocks of our moment.
Research at Theory Underground focuses on what is most important for understanding our current situation: theory of the subject, capital, time-energy theory, critical media theory, CMT, and the most essential critiques necessary for understanding why the theory, ideology, and common sense of influencers left to right misses the mark.
Theory Underground is coming to a city near you. What that has meant in the last year is traveling across the United States, into Canada, and then all over Europe to promote our books, courses, and ideas related to time energy and underground theory. You've been reading Underground Theory.
I'm a publisher and an editor. I run and review books. Literally, it's my living. This is the best edited collection I've ever read.
Okay, picture this scene. America, early 2021. An Amazon warehouse worker arises from the emerging underground theory internet scene to create spaces for untimely topics and concerns that are too often neglected or kept in isolation today. Joined by a revolving cast of underground theorists, academics, and critics, he establishes what will become Theory Underground, a teaching, research, and publishing platform by and for working-class intellectuals, autodidacts, and academics who want to do more than they're able to do within the confines of academia. That warehouse worker's name is David McKerracher, and his book Time Energy is his first major contribution to the world of theory. It was recently reprinted with a foreword by none other than Slavoj Žižek, who also contributed to Theory Underground's latest book.
My Bible, it's an excellent book.
A collection of essays called Underground Theory.
What you just heard is an excerpt from the Strange Exiles podcast, episode 23, where Bram from Strange Exiles interviewed me and Mikey. For those who don't know, Mikey is the author of the Dangerous Maybe blog. We are publishing one of his books here shortly at Theory Underground. He's also a lecturer at Theory Underground, and he's someone I've been friends and a collaborator with for over 10 years. But most importantly for you all, he's a fantastic lecturer, and it's a crime that he has to do wage labor right now. One of the long-term goals of Theory Underground has been now for a couple of years to hashtag free Mikey. That is something that I've been really pushing, but first I had to get freed from wage labor, which was achieved this year. That's right. Thanks to my monthly seminar subscribers, I was able to quit Amazon and do Theory Underground full time. Now I'm announcing the next big phase of the plan, which is the Mikey Down Seminar. What monthly subscribers to the Mikey Seminar are paying for is a survey of philosophy, including deep dives into Zizek, Land, Lacan, Baudrillard, Bataille, Lyotard, and ultimately the whole history of philosophy.
We're trying to build like this ongoing seminar, right? And that's what I really like about this thing, where, you know, if I'm teaching a main text, that's something I got to focus on. I got to really, but the seminar thing, we can do this stuff all the time, where we dive deeper into concepts, we dive deeper into certain, you know, sections of books or whatever, and we can really do this nuanced stuff.
I think that there's probably no better way for us to accelerate our learning in these areas than by slipstreaming Mikey. And that has been my belief for years and years and years now. It's official. You're able to help out. You're able to get involved. You're able to benefit directly from liberating him from wage labor. Get on it right now. Do it. Just go. Stop what you're doing. Go click the button, subscribe. This is what you do. Subscribe to him. If you're already signed up for the ongoing Theory Underground seminars, then that's the ones that I do with my wife, Anne. Though that's getting an upgrade, which means that I will be doing one session per month that is just me, and then I will also be doing the ones with Anne, which are a crash course in sociology, anthropology, the social sciences, and ultimately Marx, Heidegger, Levinas, Bourdieu, imminently critiquing pop psychology, sociology, self-help, and ultimately the doxa of our time. But if you would like to be a subscriber to both Mikey's seminar and the seminar that the Snellgrove McCarrickers are doing, then the best way is to become a Tier 4 subscriber, or you can be a Tier 2 subscriber to each of us. The reason this matters is because Tier 2 is like pretty much the best bang for your buck. It gives you huge discounts on all of the courses that we do. But if you can't afford it, Tier 4 is amazing because it gives you Tier 3 access at both Mikey's seminar and ours.
Finally, not everybody has time to be part of these ongoing research seminars, and they just want to fund the paid content for the YouTube and podcast. And so thank you so much to our patrons over at Patreon. They're the ones funding all the free stuff. So big thank you to Bert, Marilyn, Carl, Sahil, Zozandra, Nikolai, Darian, Tyler, and Mandeep, and all the other wonderful Patreon people. And thank you to all the other wonderful Patreon people. Thank you so much to all of you patrons, and also to the special subscribers and the paying subscribers. Oh my god! It's just so awkward. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, okay. And to all the other wonderful patrons. Thank you so much, all you patrons. And also a special thanks to the subscribers on the YouTube side, as well as the paying subscribers over at Substack. Why can't we do this? Fucked. You guys, please. Just thank you. Thank you, everyone, for making this bullshit possible. Thank you to the subscribers. You did so good. Thanks, guys.